And that's the important part to remember right there. They tell us at the start, the story is tailored to how we play, not the plot. So awesome that TellTale uses the OG comic book font in some of their text.
Well, I reckon you didn't do it then.
Does it really matter?
Not only does it matter because innocent till proven guilty, but also Lee's response doesn't really matter given the circumstances.
I've driven a bunch of fellas down to this prison.
Seems TellTale took a page out of Bethesda's book about having us start as a prisoner.
Any of that seem important to you?
All of it. But that box never shuts up. Sit in this seat and pay too much attention and you'll drive yourself crazy.
I think some people could use this reminder when it comes to them in the news.
You want to know how I see it?
I got much choice?
Being realistic.
Could be you just married the wrong woman.
Lee doesn't say any of these options. For as much as we get to decide the type of Lee we play, there's still some core values that Lee holds as his own, independent of us. It's a good reminder that we aren't Lee. We all know what's going down in Atlanta, but it's still fun to watch the slow mounting march of the police to the city.
People will up and go mad when they believe their life is over.
People can go mad, I'd like to correct. That's kind of the whole premise of The Walking Dead, to see how people react in a world that destroys everything they used to know. Lee's gonna be fine. He just wanted to show us the importance of seatbelts. The officer didn't die of the car crash. Nope, we hear him getting bit and everything.
Thirsty.
One word informs us how long Lee's been out. I mean, so does the setting sun, but leave me alone.
Shit.
Just some quick, dramatic, ironic tension. So, Lee doesn't know what's going on and just straight up murders this officer in his eyes. Sure, he was a little sus, but damn, Lee. At least he killed someone in self-defense this time, I guess.
Ed had a little incident with some crazy guy near the hotel. All the calls are getting dropped. It's 911. We love you.
These 3 voicemails immediately endear us to Clem since we know how hard her life has just gotten and makes us want to protect her right away. Also, these mails give us some neat perspective of the fall of the civilized world. And here begins the funny trend of Lee falling all the time.
Me with Sandra. They're in Savannah, I think.
Learning from your mistakes, even if only briefly. Saving your surrogate daddy.
Look, I don't know what happened, but I'll look after you until then.
Lee is in a special position going into the apocalypse since he has already lost everything before the end, which makes his decision to vote his life to Clem a no-brainer for him.
I'm Sean Green.
Oh, that's Sean, the one that we don't get to meet since he's already been kenneled in the barn in the comics. I get why Herschel got so upset about his death. Sean was a nice guy. And to those who were unsure if this game was canon with the comics, just take a look at this shot next to this comic panel. Attention to freaking detail.
Honey, do you know this man?
So sweet that Herschel kneels down to ask Clem directly this, and shows either Herschel's wisdom or prejudice. I'm a benefit of the doubt kind of guy, so I'm going with wisdom.
I was with a police officer. He was giving me a ride.
Honesty. Kinda.
If the leg gets hot or the swelling doesn't go down, you're probably dealing with an infection.
What do we do then?
We'll probably just have to shoot you.
It was funny at first, but it got even better seeing Clementine's face.
I love you, baby.
Dream's position?
Doc?
Yeah, nothing bothers him.
Duck's defining trait seemed to annoy many players. Upon reflection, though, I think it's kind of beautiful that he got to retain this attitude while the whole world around him gone to hell.
But frankly, I think it's because he's dumb as a bag of hammers.
What the fuck, Kenny?
Personally, I'd appreciate the company of a guy who can knock a couple of heads together if he has to.
This is the first questionable remark made by Kenny towards Lee, and judging by the accent, there's a chance he was taught some sour things growing up. But I'm happy to see it never truly comes between their friendship.
Dad just wants to keep the family safe and thinks inviting people in is a bigger threat than whatever's out there.
He's onto something, though. People are the real danger in this world.
Things were bad before. The banks, the politics,
This is about as opinionated as we see Lee about the real world, and he makes some valid points.
Family's important. It's all that matters.
Ain't that the truth? And the crux of this story. This is our first big choice, and after replaying, we all find out that Sean dies anyway. I'm glad about this, and I'll explain more about this later. Cool that this game gave us some more insight on how Herschel became a weirdo.
Those things outside don't care.
Maybe you should go join him then.
Clap back, Kenny! Oh, look at Sweet Clem in the background.
We're about to be trapped in here with one of those things!
The group seems to find themselves in this type of situation a lot. This is just the first of 3.
Keys behind the counter. Probably.
Smooth. And hence the Lee's connection with the shop.
No! You don't touch that board! You don't touch anybody! I've got a little girl I'm trying to protect in here, too. You want to get violent, you old fuck? Well, come on! You better have a plan to kill me, though, because it's me before anyone else in here!
Standing up for your duck.
Jesus!
Cool little dolly zoom, and I like it more since they're using traditional camera techniques with a virtual camera.
He almost died because of this bitch and her itchy trigger finger.
You know what's stupid? Getting worked up with a heart condition. But hey, his character's consistently an asshole, so...
Keep a good eye on him. These boys will work on getting you your medicine. And you keep an eye on that front door. You're our lookout. Okay, Carly, you'll shift in with Doug when he needs it. For now, get some rest.
Kenny very quickly steps into a leadership role, no doubt because he's a father, a commercial fisherman, and would captain a ship on the open sea for months at a time.
Now get him those pills.
And Lily being in the military doesn't take too well to Kenny being in charge, especially with her past of dealing with pushy men in the Air Force.
I can't think about them in here.
TellTale is quick to cut Lee off and remove anything that he could attach himself to from the old world to make his devotion to Clem easier and more impactful. There's the surface level reason of not wanting people to know he's connected to this shop, and the emotional one of him feeling guilt over what he's done and how that's affected his relationship with them.
I'll just keep it to myself.
Thanks.
Don't worry about it.
Ooh, she's sweet on him.
Why don't you want to talk about your family?
I love the bluntness of kids sometimes. I think adults could really benefit from not beating around the bush all the time and being real for 2 seconds.
Wanna head back into the drugstore with me?
The time they spend together in the office is some great bonding time for these two.
There are no batteries in this thing.
This is such a silly trait to give the reporter that can shoot well.
Hey there, this is Glenn.
Hey, that's Glenn confirmed. Cool.
I'll take Carly and her dead-eye.
Apt and funny that the journalist has a dead eye. Can only assume she was really good at her job.
Not yet. There's a survivor trapped up there.
No matter the iteration of Glenn, he's always trying to help people.
Dude, where'd your weapon go?
And leave it to him to keep things light.
You have a boyfriend?
Give it to her.
Helping those in need, even if it really sucks.
Because somebody needs to pick up the gun. Can't leave it. You two go on.
Taking one for the team.
Well fucking done, Doug.
See, everybody? Nerdy shit does pay off sometimes. Looks like someone pulled a Thor with that screwdriver. You know, Thanos didn't go for the...
If we don't make it through this, you should know that I think you're a great guy.
Shut up, Doug!
Daddy defends his store one last time. And just like Thanos, she is given a chance to fuck things up.
I'm not letting somebody else get eaten today.
Kenny to the rescue.
Like pow, pow, pow. I thought Super Dinosaur was toast. But you know what? He wasn't. Oh, and then...
Hey, Duck.
Duck's staying true to his name. Literally almost died about 3 times today and is babbling on about whatever to Clem.
I know who you are.
And I don't give a shit about what happens to you. But if anything happens to my daughter or that little girl you've got with you, you watch your ass.
Larry's a dick, but his heart's in the right place, even if it don't really work.
There are worse places to call home.
You know, guys, I think it's going to be okay.
You had to say something. And let's just throw on 5 wins for the great cliffhangers each episode has.
When I accidentally grabbed for Carly's rations the other night, I thought she was gonna take off my hand.
We're all on edge. Just cut us some slack.
Defending your girl.
He's a walking pile driver. I know I wouldn't want to be stuck in a room with him.
Be careful what you wish for, Mark, and yeah, foreshadowing.
Lee, this strap's been altered. There's no release latch.
Jigsaw would like to know your location. That's brutal as hell.
Lee, are you okay?
Aw, Clem's first to worry about Lee.
And I don't suppose you guys are carrying any groceries, are you?
No?
Rhetorical.
Come over here and see what I drew.
Clem right now can't help in the literal survivor sense, but she has been helping emotionally from the start. I mean, look how sweet she is taking Ben away.
This isn't your own personal dictatorship.
I immediately thought about Rick's group in comparison to this one. It's interesting to compare them since Rick's group rallied around him and prospered to a degree where this one flounders, and in some ways seems more human with the amount of conflict they endure amongst each other.
I know I said it didn't matter why you saved me instead of Doug, but...
You don't owe me anything, Carly.
Look at Lee, just being a stand-up guy.
Where's your hat?
I don't know. Can you help me find it?
Sure.
Holding on to the little things like this, I feel would be really important to keeping a grasp on our humanity in this type of situation.
I'm Ben. The man you saved is Mr. Parker.
Is that a silly nod to Ben Parker? You know, this teenager has a lot to learn and just lost his only mentor figure? Am I thinking about this too hard?
I'm trying. I didn't realize I was getting this weak already.
What do you want? A handout? Oh, I got 60 cents in my pocket. If you'll shut up and quit being such a pansy.
I mean, I hate the guy, but he's funny sometimes. We normally feel safe in menus, especially ones without a timer. So betraying our trust right here makes this attack even more surprising.
Wait, you all don't know?
What the hell are you talking about?
It's not the bite that does it. You come back no matter how you die.
I like that it's baby boy Ben that tells everyone this. Danny's character model is so well done. Dude definitely looks like a creep.
I've seen situations like yours 100 times. It doesn't have to make you a bad man.
I love that. We aren't defined by some one thing we've done in our past.
I noticed a broken swing over there. Not a big deal, but maybe there's other things not working that we just can't see yet.
Mark can see the future. Twice now his lines have been some cute foreshadowing.
The fences are on.
I'm sure Danny was watching them to give Andy the go-ahead and try and get these two killed for food.
Bud, what happened?
He got shot with an arrow.
Christ, are you...
In case you couldn't tell, Lee makes sure everyone knows what happened to Mark.
Take this place over if we have to.
Whoa, cool your jets there, Rambo.
For once, Larry's speaking some sense.
Anytime. We're looking out for you.
I mean, well-fed and happy meat is of better quality, so being good farmers?
My dad can be an ass sometimes, I know that. But he's not a bad guy. He's been through so much and lost pretty much everything. Yeah, he's bitter and hateful, but that's all just to protect himself and me. So don't judge him. And don't judge me for sticking by him. He's my dad, and I love him.
Lily's explanation of her and her dad makes total sense, even if it doesn't excuse anything. It did make me well up hearing her talk about her dad like that, though.
Now, let's not be hasty.
Okay, Treebeard.
Do you think things will ever get back to how they were?
Yeah. Not sure when.
Well, he's not lying to her.
No.
Yeah. I'll be back soon, Clementine.
Please be lucky.
I will.
That's such a cute callback to their conversation on the swing.
Battery's dead, though.
Oh, good.
Some hints towards the St. John's not-so-good nature. Danny's worried there might be some evidence of their Hannibal ways on there. Exit wounds are always larger than entries, so some attention to detail.
It's a clean shot, though.
Danny's fucking insane.
You really like that gun.
What's not to like?
Just as I said.
Oh, my boys get so much as a scratch and start hollering. He can definitely teach them a thing or two about being tough.
He handled himself well, most likely because he was military.
Nuts.
No, that's not a very nice thing to say, Lee.
He seemed to enjoy this woman's death.
I'm sure he didn't. He is sensitive and willing to do whatever...
Yeah, it's generally the sensitive ones that are like that. Anyone ever hear of Dahmer?
But you told him to mind his own goddamn business, right?
Larry so quickly turns on this nice guy facade at the farm, and it's actually kind of refreshing.
Called a salt lick.
Yeah, but don't lick it. It's gross.
Did you lick it?
I don't know.
Oh, I love her so much.
It smells funny in here. Like shit, right, Lee?
Don't get paranoid.
It's my job to be paranoid, Lee.
You mean parent-noid?
Wait, I'll make an excuse for you.
We all could use a friend like Kenny.
Look, we have food here, but Danny and I still gotta do a lot of hunting to keep everyone fed. When we catch something in the woods, we skin it and dress it back there. Mama doesn't like us to make a mess in the house, so you see, nothing to worry about.
The back room is sus as hell at first, but he really does explain it away perfectly. I mean, we still know something's afoot, but there is not really much to go on.
Excuse the mess, we had to block the back door after Walker got upstairs.
That line, along with the close-up with the gun, no Mark, and the barn being weird, is all building some nice tension. Mark is the gift that just keeps on giving.
Brenda, tell me he's not being eaten right now.
It's true.
Honesty, I guess. Mark felt the need to be fashionably late to dinner.
The rest of us did, goddammit!
You okay, Clementine?
Love that Lee doesn't even take the time to indulge Larry anymore.
Let's get this over.
Fucking monsters! Both of you! I don't want to...
This is actually heartbreaking, and the performance from Nikki Rapp is wonderful. TellTale making sure Larry's jaw is still visible makes his death hit harder because it's harder to dehumanize him that way. And it's just not cute.
Maybe there's something else we could use. I've got a rock.
My father's more useful to you dead than alive.
If he was alive and had the key to getting us out of here, Do you think he'd keep it to himself?
What do you want?
Lee jabs back at Lily's unreasonable comments with reality.
Kill the rest. Can I
Ah!
You understand now, don't you? You can have me.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Danny? I know his eyes are just a bug, but my headcanon is that he's getting off on the idea of somebody eating him. Even in death, Mark is on our side. The staging of Ben being in between the two trios shows that he's still new to the group and somewhat alone. Lee makes sure all the cannibals are dead, as they should be.
What do you think?
I'm with you, Kenny. We'll do what has to be done.
You're damn right.
Love these two. Brotherhood goals right there.
Clementine and I don't want any part of this.
We're starving. Suit yourself.
That's a tough choice to make. With them taking these supplies, now they're the bandits.
There were some batteries in one of those boxes. I thought they might work in your camcorder. Here, you can have some too.
Batteries, huh? Think you can handle those?
Smooth.
Duck was asking about that guy at Herschel's farm last night.
Really? I wasn't sure it fazed him.
Of course it did.
If the bag of hammers is having issues now, then we know they're in some real shit.
Kenny, help!
Twice now, Kenny has saved Lee at this door.
Ben found some stickers in a drawer, and I put them on my walkie.
Have I mentioned I love Clementine? Because I love her.
Looks like we got the kid on watch again.
What'd you get?
We might as well leave a sign out that says the men are gone and come and rape our women and children.
Kenny, your humor leaves a lot to be desired, but at least someone's trying to be funny through all this.
Happy, Kenny?
My family's alive.
Good point.
What's that you're working on, Clem?
She's teaching us how to start a train, Lee.
You guys, trust everyone here?
More or less.
Kenny has big issues with Ben later, so seeing him accepted into the family for now is nice.
You're a convicted killer, and I think people should know. So you'll do it then?
Honesty is the best policy.
I was, on my way to prison 3 months ago.
No shit.
No shit.
Those eyes.
I was, on my way to prison 3 months ago.
It wasn't for touching kids, was it?
Oh, man, come on, man.
What? I gotta ask.
And these two have such good rapport.
Somebody, one of us, out there. He or she or they.
Progressive.
You're the Grace detective, and I can be Dick Grayson, your ward. That's Robin.
I know who it is.
I found something.
He may be annoying, but he's not as dumb and useless as he may lead on. And that enthusiasm Kenny mentioned is really coming through now. Carly doesn't miss a beat when the gun hits the ground.
I'm sorry.
Ben literally just admitted it right here, Lily. If you just calm down for a second.
I don't know. Fuck. Just stop.
This whole time, Kenny is just trying to de-escalate the situation, which is a first for him.
You think you're some tough bitch, don't you? Like nothing can hurt you.
Get her, Carly.
Now, what the fuck's the problem?
That, now.
We don't know what the time frame is for a child.
Ah, yes. Let's use Duck as our experiment. Aww.
What about Carly?
There was no time for a burial.
Walkers?
Yeah. Horrible.
After some crazy shit goes down, this game always gives us a slow bit to process what we just went through.
I'm glad I have you.
Me too.
Family doesn't have to be blood.
I heard you outside my treehouse that day and thought about dropping a hammer on your head.
Seatbelts, people. TellTale is trying to teach us something.
Already met everyone outside.
Hey, creepy homeless guy subversion.
It's so nice to meet someone normal for a change.
Lee was trying to say something about Chuck being weird and trying to scare him. And all the enthusiasm he showed earlier was done on purpose to really punctuate how shitty bites are. In conjunction with him just being a kid makes this all the worse.
The hell it's not. You think we're pals and you know me? You're some elitist prick with a fancy education who could pick me apart?
The worst part about this is that they're pals, and it's just the grief of his son making him lash out like this. It sucks, but it's completely realistic.
What's happening?
The camera work answers that question with the close-up on the gun.
Cat, gotcha!
The whole situation is fucked. This group can't catch a break. I feel worse for Duck because even though he can't physically react, I'm sure that he's still there emotionally feeling all of this.
Give me the gun, kid. I'll do it.
As Samwise said, share the load.
What'd Chuck say?
That what happened to Duck would happen to me.
The fuck he did?
Swear.
Double entendre with swear talking about Lee's cursing, but also swearing that she's telling the truth.
But know where your finger is all the time, and don't put it on the trigger unless you want to hurt somebody. See? It's not scary.
Lee has officially entered complete dad mode.
So you did kill someone before.
Haircuts are always where deep conversations happen, and apocalyptic haircuts are no exception.
Fuck!
Me when I stub my toe.
Maybe we could walk? That's fucking stupid, Ben.
I feel bad for laughing, but damn was that delivery golden.
You're not her dad. He down there?
Krista is a mother-to-be, so it makes complete sense that she's the one who sees that Lee is not the father. Saving your Lee.
Think it'll be within mine?
No, but I'm gonna dangle you over that ledge.
The hell you are?
Haha, love questions being answered in the cut. They had to have some balls to do that for real.
Ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee.
The meaning of that basically is, when any man dies, the entire world is worse for it, since all life is precious. This quote and the decision about Ben bookend this episode, as the choice to save or drop Ben might be the biggest choice you make in the game. Chuck to the rescue.
A shovel is never not useful.
As Chuck so wonderfully demonstrated.
Door only opens when the dog gets close to it.
Well, shit. Every day's a school day.
You're not wrong, Kenny.
It's no good. I can't get it.
Here, let me try. I think I can...
Clem, take an initiative.
It's okay, honey. You can tell us. Who is he? What does he want?
Go ahead, Clem. So
that's really an important way to talk to children. Letting them know that telling the truth won't get them in trouble goes a long way in having an open relationship with your kids. Kenny again is forced to face the death of his son. But not just his death, but what would have happened if he didn't kill him. But he doesn't find any peace knowing that his son is not that. Seeing this boy, to him, is basically seeing Duck like that.
We should bury him.
Getting a chance to bury this boy, though, is one good thing that comes of this. They didn't get a chance to bury Duck. You all know I love me some center framing. TellTale draws out the burying of this boy as it's sort of a metaphorical burial for Duck. Ah! Spooky.
Kenny's right, Krista.
So sad that so often Ben is Kenny's biggest supporter, and maybe that's coming from his guilt, but either way, he's on his side, and later, Kenny wishes he was dead.
What the?
I mean, don't know how he didn't see her, but sneaky anyway.
That's the idea, genius. It's how I get around. I ring a bell in one neighborhood to attract the local geeks.
Huh. Little nod to earlier names of walkers being called geeks.
Anyone who got sick, anyone too old, anyone they figured wasn't strong enough to survive. To them, those people were just mouths to feed, a drain on their precious resources.
Negan was a bad guy for sure, but at least he saw the value in people, as skewed his perspective on that may have been.
Oh my God. Chuck.
He did say he couldn't live to see the world take another little girl, so he died saving her. Gotta admire him for trying, at least.
Look, sorry if I scared you. I just want to get back to my people. Back to Clementine.
She's your daughter?
No.
Still, all parents do what they can for the child, so... yeah.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
What does it look like?
Where'd you get the bottle?
Found it.
I don't know why I'm laughing so much at this game. Maybe it's the juxtaposition of their shitty circumstances alongside their dialogue is what makes everything so much more funny? I don't know. They were due for something good. It's all been bad since they ate Mark.
That boat out there is an answered prayer. Just gotta push a little bit farther. Are you in or out?
Kenny immediately steps back into his leadership role after getting his second wind of the boat.
This little girl's not just excess baggage. She's gotten us out of a tight spot more than once. She's coming. Deal with it.
You heard the man.
Clem has proven herself and love that Kenny backs up Lee. Lee's about to bring out his inner Rick.
Plan hasn't changed.
The plan hasn't changed? Every time walkers show up, the plan changes.
Ben makes a really good point for once.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Do I even need to explain why this is a win?
Looks like they were using this room as some kind of command center.
Of course they were. Perverting and destroying the innocence of children, using this room as the command center. I think Molly might have something to say about Ezio's hook blade.
Do you think things will ever be normal again? Just like the way they were before?
Remember what Katja said back on the farm? She said we'll all be home soon.
Home is where you make it, so yeah, she was right.
It's my fault Duck and Katja got killed. If I hadn't screwed up back at the motor inn, they'd still be alive. How am I supposed to just carry something like that around? I have to tell him.
Gotta admire him. There's some things I know I'm taking to the grave, but nothing as major as that.
Thanks.
It wasn't me!
Good going, kid. Nice shot.
Clem ex machina, but seriously, it's a good thing she came. She pulls her weight and saves Molly.
Wait a minute. What are you saying?
I love me some Dutch angles to show someone's mental state.
It was me who made the deal with the bandits at the motor inn, slipping them supplies. I thought maybe I could keep them off our backs.
They do say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Poor Ben being the embodiment of a kid, just trying his best but failing over and over again. But hey, learning from one's mistakes is all that life is.
Wait, don't I get a vote?
I say yes, but there's a good reason in the States we aren't allowed to vote till we're 18. We typically aren't developed enough to understand all the nuances of a situation. But that's politics. This is just a kid's life. No better person to weigh in on it than a fellow kid.
What about the rest of us? Don't we get a say?
The Walker just made the choice for you. Vernon's group had 6 people, and now they only have 5. It's perfect that they took the vote.
Let go, damn it!
It's not a coincidence that Ben's death is atop a bell tower. TellTale has primed us to want to kill Ben, but remember Chuck's quote, which reminds us that losing a life makes the whole world worse off.
Should have left him behind when we had the chance.
At least we didn't go full Lily.
I don't feel much. I mean, I don't feel enough. Shouldn't I be broken up over what happened to her?
Death will always be a part of us, and even in our real world, I feel it's best to greet it in stride than wallow and let it consume us.
That little girl's in my care. We've been through more together than you can imagine. Anyone who tries to get between me and her, anyone, is gonna wind up dead.
And he meant it. After their rough conversation about her parents, the camera work puts a wall between them. There's enough ambiguity in the initial bite that we might not even notice it, or at least be in denial about it, until the camera so wonderfully reveals the bite.
I want to do this for Clem, but I want to do it for Kenny, too.
I really love Ben's character. He's just trying his best. Well, if it didn't feel like the finale, an army of walkers should do that for you.
We're about to have a lot less. We'll all make sure nothing gets in. You're still the smartest fucker out of all of us.
Finally, someone acknowledges it, and of all people, it's Kenny, who has been trying to be the leader the whole time.
If we take off the arm, and you don't die of blood loss, well, maybe you won't die from the bite.
The sad dramatic irony of this is that we know it works if they were faster. Just like Clem hoped he'd stay lucky, not falling off this ladder was 100% that. I know it's stupid, but I find it funny someone fell while trying to paint this.
You can make it! It ain't that far!
I'm so fucked. This was Vernon.
Hey guys, Lee's right.
How courteous of Vernon to leave a note. He's not a bad guy, just a desperate one.
I am so sorry about Katja and Duck. But stop pushing me around and stop wishing I was dead. You know how they died. I never got to see my family, my parents, my little sister. Your family is gone, but at least you had them to lose. So give me a fucking break!
This has got to be one of my favorite parts of the game. This completely shifts our perspective on Ben and really admire his strength as he hasn't brought them up once and has been focused on the group. And this is also the moment Kenny and Ben start to bond over their lost families and why I always say give people a second chance. Look, it's Bree. Oh, she's dead now. Y'all remember the Flash game, The Last Stand? This hella reminds me of that.
What happens if Lee takes another spill? We could be looking at a Larry situation.
Thanks come in thirds, people. Hey look, Dixon Kent, who was an architect, showed them the weak part in the structure.
He wanted me to drop him. He asked me to.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
I'm glad it was you making that call and not me.
And that's why we shouldn't condemn people for their mistakes and cast judgment in the moment. Even Kenny is coming around on Ben.
What's heartbreaking is not giving yourself a chance. It's what Katja did.
I'm sure that really cut through to Ben.
Ben!
People complain about Ben dying no matter what, but let me just say this was needed for Kenny's arc.
What are we gonna do?
Kenny going down to try and save Ben is a beautiful redemption for both these characters. Kenny sacrifices himself to save Ben and uses his one bullet for him. If that's not development, I don't know what is. This is why I kept both my hands for this badass dual wielding moment. And you can't tell me you weren't cheering him on with this awesome score in the back to go save Clem. For the keen-eyed, you'll notice a very familiar station wagon in the front.
I got us adjoining rooms.
Hello.
Okay. This is civil.
The lack of score throughout this whole sequence actually helps make everything more tense.
Just be cool.
Do I not seem cool?
Nah, you seem like another Danny.
A few weeks back, there might have been a station wagon in the forest, full of all sorts of food.
Everything we do has a consequence to some degree.
We didn't get far. I found them a day later in the road.
It's great that the ending conflict isn't between us and 1,000 walkers, but between us and another father.
What are you?
Even though what he's done is coming from a paternal place, he's still fucking crazy.
Aye!
Clementine to the rescue. To the uninitiated, this is cool because for a second you think it's the bite is why the walker doesn't bite him. But it's less cool than that. At least they get to have their guts seen. At least she gets closure.
No, that's not... No.
So, here's where the waterworks start.
I got you. You can lean on me if you have to.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I thought I was helping by bringing you in here.
And again, the use of no score really highlights the script and the raw emotions us and the characters are feeling.
Just start by getting that door open.
Lee gives Clem one final lesson before he goes.
I don't want to do this.
Lee starts and ends the apocalypse in handcuffs, but he starts with no family and ends with one. It's not until all the threats are taken care of that the music comes in to really hone in on the relationship and the gravity of what's about to happen.
My parents. It's so horrible.
I can't imagine, Sweet Pea.
If you weren't about to cry right here, then you've got a heart of stone.
I miss you.
Me too.
This is one of those games that became an instant classic. This is one of those games that everyone who considers himself a gamer should play. You guys know me. Anyone who enjoys storytelling should play this game. It's so incredibly accessible and the story so powerful that it's a shame for those who haven't played through it at least once. I remember so vividly being 12, not being able to afford the game, so I watched Uberhax or Nova play through all of it. Being so gripped by the story I would anticipate every upload and die while waiting for the next episode to come out. Not just of his parted videos, but the game's episodes. If a 12-year-old me can get so enraptured with a story about grief, loss, and family, I can only imagine how impactful this story could be for a parent. Any apocalypse story is going to handle death, loss, grief, the meaning of life, our humanity, but not always do they have to adhere to the theme of family, and how family in conjunction with what I just mentioned works. Everyone we meet is struggling to some degree with an aspect of their family. Lee lost his before the world started forcibly taking it from people. Kenny had his to hold and to say goodbye to. Ben doesn't even know what's going on with his family, but is accepted into the group's makeshift one. I could go on and on detailing every character and how what they go through all ties back to family, but I'll spare you the English essay. I love this hyper-focus on family because from birth, it's the first thing we know and understand. It's intrinsic in us as humans to have and hold one and to not let go as hard as we can. This is why The Walking Dead has resonated with everyone this last decade. We get to see how people might react when the one thing that truly matters comes under constant threat. And also, it's a wonderful reminder that blood is not thicker than water. And I will die on this hill defending that statement. When we are born, of course, we don't get to pick our family, but as we grow older and more self-sufficient, we do. That's the beautiful thing about how far we've come as a species, is that we are not beholden to those who raised us and those who we grew up with. And this is wonderfully demonstrated in TellTale's The Walking Dead. Lee and Clementine both have lost their families and have no one, and are able to develop a beautiful father-daughter relationship that leaves us in tears by the end. And it's not just them that demonstrates this sentiment. For a time, the whole group at the motor inn were working together as a family, staying loyal to each other. That's one of the best parts of the Walking Dead world, is that complete strangers who might not have met otherwise get to come together and change each other's lives for the better. Lee and Clementine left their mark on each other. Lee helped her learn to survive in this harsh world and was her shoulder to lean on while dealing with her blood family's loss. Clementine was a reminder to Lee that he's still a good man, though the modern world demonized him for his devotion to his wife. Now I know I just romanticized the hell out of Lee murdering somebody. He shouldn't have killed him, of course, but we see from the start that Lee is ready to do the worst things for the ones he loves, and that devotion to family is something that I feel we can all relate to. That's the big reason I feel the game's first season had gone down as a classic, and subsequent seasons are just good. I tend to be all over the place with these conclusions since these are just my musings and not my thesis for my doctorate. Something I noticed about the 5 episodes is that each one is representative of the 5 stages of grief. Let me just blast through why I think so real quick. The first stage is denial, which is in spades in the first episode. The outbreak just happened and no one wants to believe it and doesn't think it'll take hold of the world. Herschel especially embodies this trait, as we know he will go on in the comics to barn up infected friends and family in the belief they could be cured. And then there's case after case of denial popping up. Larry thinking Duck is bad, Glenn and the girl that wants to kill herself, Lee shoving his feelings down about his family. The second stage of grief is anger. Lily is angry with Kenny about leadership. The bandits are just angry all the time. Lily and Larry are also angry with Lee about bringing back more mouths to feed. And the big, obvious one, the feud between the group and the St. John. Episode 3 is bargaining, most poignantly shown through Ben's deal with the bandits and Kenny not wanting to accept the truth about Duck. Stage 4 is depression, which is clear enough with the foggy atmosphere down to Kenny getting drunk. This is the lowest we find the group. No boats, no one can agree with each other. People are dying or wanting to die, i.e. Charles, because I'm fancy, and Ben, respectively. There is a glimmer of hope towards the end of the episode, with the boat being found and Crawford raid going well. But as the characters are somewhat lifted from their depression, the players are thrust into it with Clem being kidnapped and Lee bitten. Which brings us to episode 5, acceptance. Lee almost immediately understands and accepts his fate. The group takes a second, but gets there as well. Clem is forced to finally accept her parents and Lee's death and move on. Now, did TellTale formulate these 5 episodes with the 5 stages of grief in mind? Probably not. Am I just applying broad emotions to a game I love the way astrology fits people's personalities? Maybe. But there's enough here that it's a really interesting way to look at the 5 episodes at the very least. And I mean, hell, the Walking Dead universe is nothing but a world of loss, so grief is obvious to follow. And they do a great job highlighting each stage that we go through. Finally, I want to briefly touch on player choice in this game. But those choices also apply to much more than just this game, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Players have complained that their choices don't really matter too much in the end because similar things happen anyway. You drop Ben, he dies later. You try to resuscitate Larry, Kenny kills him anyway. Everyone's moaned all TellTale gives you is the illusion of choice. Now, I want you to take a second to think about that statement real quick. Players are upset that their choices don't change drastic things, and for all intents and purposes, we all get the same story. Okay, that's funny, because you think we have any choice in real life? Like, yes, we do. We choose what we do, but that's about it. The world generally doesn't care what we decide to do. Things are going to happen no matter what. Now, in these examples that upset people is our choice to save or kill Ben. People that saved him felt robbed of their choice because he dies anyway. The fact that he died anyway doesn't matter. Life is about what we make of it while we have it, and how we can help change and affect others positively. Whenever you save Ben, Kenny and him get a chance to understand one another. Kenny gets the chance to forgive him before he dies, which is huge for what he's been going through since his family died. At the time, Kenny didn't want him to live, but through Ben's life, Kenny was able to find some catharsis. Now, those that drop Ben are probably thinking, so you're telling me I made the wrong choice? No. What I'm saying is that our choices throughout these games are more tied to the relationships we form with others, and not just one-off, this thing definitely is changed because of X. Our choices throughout, big or small, all impact our bonds we share with the other characters, which I find much more impactful as the player than, say, spoilers for the end of Far Cry 3, choose to kill Lisa or not. That choice is bland and boring and doesn't offer much since it comes out of nowhere at the end. It's a one-time choice that speaks to who you are, but we've just spent hours playing as Jason, who has always made his own calls. So there's some dissonance in our emotional investment in Jason and the story as a whole. Anyways, my point I'm spending 10 dog years to get to is that the beauty of the player choice in TellTale's The Walking Dead is that over and over again we have to make choices. That can either be as inconsequential as giving Duck a high five to as large as who lives and who dies. Every choice we make is a direct reflection of who we are as a person. Of course, only if you played through making the choices you personally would make, which doesn't feel like a stretch to say that was most of us. Sure, you could decide before you start, this time I'm going to be an asshole, and that's cool and all, but the emotional art I feel comes from engaging with the story as if you are Lee. And these 2 reasons I've been talking about are why the player choice in TellTale games are still so great. Not all games can so easily show what kind of person you are. When I first played it myself, I was 16, and when Ben was dangling, I was so upset about what he'd done and how stupid he'd been. I dropped them and didn't think twice. The choice was a direct reflection of the kind of person I was at the time, allowing someone's faults to completely determine who they'd be forever. Now that I'm older, I understand Ben was just a kid trying his best, and no one deserves to die because of that. It's a beautiful game that if you play truthfully to who you are, you could learn a thing or two about yourself. And what other fucking game can you say that about? Yes, there are others, but let me gush about this one. TellTale's The Walking Dead is a beautiful reminder that we shouldn't live our lives passively. We should always make a decision. We should always hold on to our right to choose, because that's the only way we can grow, through our choices. You never know what moment is going to be your last. So live a life of meaning. Live a life that you're proud of. And remember, it'll always be better to live a life of consequence than one of not. I hope you guys are excited about this video as I was to write for it. These first 2 seasons have a special place in my heart. They're the first times I can remember actually having a game make me cry, so here we go. This title refers to Clem, Omid, and Krista, as they're all that remains for the last group. Or so we think.
I am.
We are not doing that.
Why not?
Because.
Man, were these 2 great additions to the party last season. I'm so excited to get to play the rest of this game and really get to know them better. I know what I just did. In all seriousness, it's really nice that we get to start season 2 with this relatively lighthearted family before the rest of the game happens.
Clementine, a little help here?
Something I remember being wary about after Lee ate a bullet last game was exactly how would playing as Clementine work out, as she's so young. But I gotta say, TellTale navigated it swimmingly. More about her as our lead as we go on. And you know I love me some center framing.
I don't want to call her Krista. That's just confusing.
So name her Genevieve. I don't care.
How can you not care?
I'm with Omid on this one. A name is just a name. If I knew I could change my name when I was younger because I felt like it, I totally would have.
You're not taking this seriously.
I take everything seriously.
I don't know. You were 100% the goober of last game.
What's that?
That is some foreshadowing to your loss of innocence throughout this game, if we don't argue that it's not gone already.
Oh, shoot.
So all of your saves are tracked and decisions transferred between seasons. Not all the time are the choices you made monumental, especially between seasons 1 and 2, but the choices you made are mostly, in the words of TellTale, used to help color Clementine's character, and not define her. The outline for her is set in stone. Our choices change the story, not the plot.
Oh, shoot.
Like this moment in particular. When you're sleeping in Herschel's barn in season 1, if you say the barn smells like shit, here Clem will say shit instead of shoot. And you can find moments like this peppered all over season 2.
You got anything on you? Come on, let's see.
I appreciate that many times our dialogue choices aren't just the good, bad, neutral. We find even in our choice-based games today. Granted, we still have moments like those, but more often than not, we're given a lot of nuance in our choices.
And more
Well, you are in a bathroom. In case we forgot that absolutely no one is safe in The Walking Dead. Well, at least the games at least. The TV show is way different story. Some brilliant show don't tell right here. After our time skip, we see Krista lost her baby, and of course that made her cold as hell. But through just these couple shots, we're told that Krista blames Clementine for Omid's death, even if she'd never say it. I'm glad they did the time jump. Age up Clem a bit and give her some more basic survival skills, not to waste our time having her learn. We already had a whole game of that.
Krista, talk to me.
And that's gotta hit you like a ton of bricks. It's been a year and a half since she presumably lost her baby, and she and Clem still aren't talking. If you choose to burn Lee's photo, Clem won't go through with it, no matter what. Even if we want to move on from the heartbreak of Lee, Clem just can't. And if you burn the picture of Kenny's family, the same music that played when shooting duck plays over the burning. Huh, Clem stashed her bag in that log. Probably just to keep it dry, but I'm gonna call it a lesson learned after what went down in the bathroom. Clem's just a little girl. Of course she's gonna be easily captured, unlike a certain character in episode 1 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. This half-good, half-bad, half-boy is named Sam, which is in reference to one of TellTale's previous games, Sam and Max Save the World, which my line is also in reference to something else. See if you can guess it. I can't be the only one that thinks this doll looks like Bonnie, and Clem drops her in a toy box. When we meet Bonnie, she can't help but treat Clem like a little kid that knows nothing, which we know isn't the case. I'm taking this as some symbolism for the relationship. Am I reaching? Yes, and I can't wait to have someone call me out on it. We get to play catch with Doug. That is all. Something I've really enjoyed about TellTale's Walking Dead is that so far no one's really a badass that can just tear through walkers like nothing. They're all still terrified and can't handle the threat, focusing more on what The Walking Dead has actually always been about, which is the relationships between the survivors. Haha, family-style beans, which, even more than the first season, is this game's main focus. Family, not beans. See, The Walking Dead was killing dogs before it was cool. Looking at you, The Last of Us Part 2. Daddy Luke to the rescue.
Still, you don't kill dogs.
I've become so jaded, consuming so much zombie media, that meeting someone like Luke gave me red flags because no one is ever just that nice. So it's a welcome surprise whenever he's the sweetest of everyone we meet this season. Walter's got a case, but don't get me started on my trust issues with old men.
You idiot! Every lurker for 5 miles probably heard. You're the one telling me to shoot her.
Nick makes a valid point. I think that might be the last one he ever makes.
I just need a doctor. And then I'll go.
Oh, my heart hurts. Clementine is such a great character. Melissa Hutchinson was the perfect casting for her. TellTale screened a lot of kids to play the role, but none were able to pick up all the subtleties behind the dialogue for obvious reasons. Melissa's a full-grown woman, but you'd never know it, and it was absolutely the right call, as Clem will continue to grow throughout the seasons.
When you're bit, you get put down. End of story.
Huh. I'll remember that when Pete gets bitten later, Nick. Goes to show how tribal we really are as humans at our base nature.
What about my arm? It needs to get cleaned and stitched and bandaged.
Tigers and bears. Oh my.
We have all that stuff inside the cabin. We could probably get by with it.
Alvin, please.
But yeah, we can't do nothing.
That's gold. Wish Alvin got more screen time. And respecting your lady and staying by her side.
I'm not wasting supplies on a lurker bite. If it turns out you're telling the truth, I'll clean it and stitch it up for you in the morning.
For many of us, we're imagining she's gonna bleed out first, but Carlos is the doctor. He probably knows she'll survive the night, and also Hippocratic oath and all that. Which is funnier since Hippocratic sounds like hypocrite, and a main sticking point of the oath is do no harm, which he's indirectly doing to Clem. And I know there's no actual connection between the words and history, but the idea entertains me. I'm having fun, leave me alone. Sure, it's 4 walls and a roof, but you gotta imagine Clem's trauma from the last time she was locked inside a room by a whole nother group. And that's not even considering her blood loss that she's, already passed out from? TellTale's never wanted Clem to feel like a superhero or better than everyone badass, and her blood loss seems suspect, but the human body is capable of some crazy things.
I can't believe this.
Oh, I can. And you know what I believe even more? That shot from Nick was actually meant to put you down, but our boy is just that bad with a gun, and he played it cool. Clem's small stature has always been an asset, and it's even more enjoyable since we're in direct control. I think what TellTale is trying to tell us is always keep someone around that 5 foot, 100-ish pounds in the apocalypse. Kind of like a Swiss Army man.
You're not supposed to be in here. Hi. Can you please help me?
Sarah ends up helping Clem, mostly due to the way Carlos has raised her since the outbreak. She's clueless on how dangerous people can be, and because of this naivete, Clem gets stitched up. We mistake her kindness for weakness when we shouldn't. This is why I always believe you are so f***ed in an apocalypse situation in real life. We've been trained to trust no one and shoot on sight, so let's not get ourselves into that type of way, alright?
We're friends, right? We can be best friends.
Me, when anyone shows me a modicum of attention.
Hard to be the only girl, you know? Rebecca's okay, but she's old.
This is why I love kids. They're so unfiltered and they don't even realize some of the stuff they're saying is comedy gold. I'm just saying. A watering jug for a plant holder is an interesting wall decoration. This game is called Global Menace. I'm imagining it's a board game that J. Jonah made after some Spider-Verse mishaps. Or it's a cute nod to the zombie apocalypse. Or TellTale really just loves Risk and its big brother Axis and Allies. Anyone ever play Axis and Allies? The board game, not the real-life version. Great game. Highly recommend. Man, this is brutal. They really make us go through each stitch, too. Talk about immersing the player with Clem's struggle. And how badass is Clem? I get a small cut on my hand and I start writing wills and calling my family. You might notice this choreo for the Walker kill is very similar to the first one we take down as lead. From being attacked, chased on the ground, being pinned, down to a hammer to finish the kill.
You hungry?
I know, I got a little peckish when you first came on screen, Luke.
We put you in that shed out of concern for the safety of our loved ones. And then you escaped and persuaded my daughter to steal from us.
That's alright. Like Paul Bettany loves to say.
Snitches and op in ditches.
If she knew how bad the world is, what it's really like out there, she would cease to function.
You know, I really thought this was just hyperbole. But nah, I smacked the shit out of her and she still wasn't moving later on.
I just want to say I'm sorry for being a dick out there. I got kind of aggro, and that was definitely not cool.
owning up to your mistakes.
Do you think everyone else will be okay with it?
They'll just have to deal with it.
It's neat having someone like Luke be the pseudo-leader of this group. He's the one that came up with the plan to get away from Carver. Bill, if you're saucy. But he's not the super headstrong type like Kenny or wise like Lee. Just a guy trying his best for everyone. We'd love to see an everyman get some recognition.
So, what happened to your parents?
Severally dead? Dead! Dead!
His name was Lee.
Oh, that little smile saying his name. World building as small as using a door to cross a stream goes a long way to making this universe feel real and dire and lived in.
Anyone teach you how to shoot? By that I mean taught proper.
I really appreciate that TellTale never had Clem refer to Lee as dad. As much as we saw it like that, and she loved him, doing so would diminish their role in the story.
Sometimes you gotta play a role, even if it means people you love hate you for it.
Oh, I love that line in the context of this game. We're asked, once we meet Kenny and the rest of our endgame group, exactly what role we want to play in the dynamic. While everyone else sticks to their role, we're the only one, obviously because choice game, who gets to choose. And it works really well beyond just the gaming aspect, since Clem finds herself caught between these two groups.
Think about it. You're Carver, what do you do?
Who's Carver?
Who's Deanna?
I'm fine. Just lost my footing.
Give me an axe and I'll make that true.
Previously on The Walking Dead.
Whoa! It's Lee! Oh, now I'm sad.
Do you think they'll break through that window? Guess I'll just stand here, talking to myself.
I mean, what's really new? You do that with every random object you see anyway.
After 6 months, we were flat broke. I didn't care. We were having fun.
Ah, see? Nick gets it.
I knew someone like you. He was always screwing up too.
Screwing up? I didn't ask for any of this.
Nobody does. But so what?
This is a big reason why we love Clementine. She's headstrong and smart, but not in a way we couldn't believe an 11-year-old. More importantly, though, the situations we get stuck in are never the fault of her, just being a dumb kid. And that was a conscious choice on part of TellTale, because if Clem didn't work, this game would tank. This episode's title is in reference to Abraham Lincoln's famous quote, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," which could have been the name of this season, if that's a thing we did in this society. If the entire first game is about blood of the coven being thicker than water, got it right that time. This one is about learning to live with that coven through thick and thin.
Remember, it's just a thing.
Oh, channeling her inner Lee. Well, we know we can't trust this guy since he's wearing the trademark murder jacket Rick likes to wear.
Must be like close to 10 people with you?
More.
Clem trying to play it cool and mock what he's doing. Who knew TellTale was a knife company?
Sooner or later, people close to you will find a reason to cross you. Happens every time.
I hate when the villain is right. Bonnie, Mike, and to me, Jane, in the end, all cross Clem. How you know he got a good one, at least? Also shows just how smart Carver is, but also his arrogance, because who's to really say White can't get out of that mate in 3?
Well, White's in trouble. 3 moves away from checkmate.
Right now, that's the group being squeezed by Carver, but it'll apply to him later. I'll keep you updated.
I thought you said nobody's here.
Ah, yes. Seems Clementine went to the Skyrim school of believing they're alone.
Couldn't just leave you here with a good conscience if someone was poking around, right?
You're the one poking around!
Let's just go get your things.
Where are we going?
Anywhere but here. Into the mountains, maybe.
Man, if only they had a certain gobblegum.
Why is Carver after you?
After me? Oh, you mean us?
Smooth.
Okay, I'm gonna sneak across, make sure it's clear before we bring the whole group over.
You think splitting up the group is a good idea?
Well, I never said it was a good idea.
Clearly Luke has never played D&D.
What's the most important thing in this world? What does everyone want? Even the gangs. You know, what do you think they're all after?
Family.
I'm curious what your answer to this question is. Love and companionship is definitely mine.
Nice work, kid.
Ow.
No preferential treatment. Love it. Or easing up on the kid, whatever you want to call it.
Just don't make any sudden moves.
I'd shoot me.
Well, that's a hell of a thing to say.
I'm just saying.
As depressing as this season really is, I love the little bits of comedy TellTale was able to squeeze out of it. Man, that's some poetic irony. The one shot Nick has ever been able to hit is the one that he shouldn't have. Love the little detail of Matt trying to shoot before going over. Man, all the framing at Kenny's beard was just enough to really drag out this reveal as long as they could.
Put the gun down, that! Whoa, whoa!
And they throw us a bone to the keen-eared individual. We all know Kenny loves to say f***. And who thought that, 1, Kenny was alive, and 2, that they'd bring him back?
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
Whoever didn't immediately press hug Kenny is an alien and probably doesn't play fetch with Sam.
I'll take that as a yes.
And ugh, my achy breaky heart. They brought back the season 1 theme we associate with Clem and Lee. After seeing him there was honestly no way this game could have gotten me to not be on Kenny's side at the end. Love the shot of all these flags and the Christmas tree all lit up. Everyone from all walks coming together and celebrating with family this life we get to live. And also, did I mention Kenny's back? And I don't know, Kenny's back from the dead. It's Christmas time. He's got a full beard. See what I'm getting at? I know it's not Easter, but you get it.
But after we found this stuff in storage, we couldn't resist making an exception.
Kenny can't help but be a relatable dad. Maybe uncle. Can't decide which one I feel about the relationship. Ever since Clem showed up, Kenny can't remove that goofy grin off his face.
Mind if I steal your daughter for a secret mission?
Stay in sight, sweetie.
Can we do anything to help? Could use a hand outside. We got a lot of supplies to bring in before that storm hits.
Sure.
Clem, why don't you help Walt with dinner?
Man, there's something about seeing strangers all work together that makes me all fuzzy inside. Also, weird side note. Does anybody else see someone eating, minding their own business, and get this overwhelming sense of like, oh, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's a stupid reminder that we're all just stupid little humans at the end of the day trying our best. Okay, I'm done.
As an artist, there's nothing I like less than a friendly critic.
Well, I don't know about all that, Walt. Be nice to me in the comments.
Striking resemblance.
Why twice? First Alvin, now you? I have expected Carver to say it or something.
Right here, Clem.
They really having us make this decision, as if high school trauma wasn't enough already.
Not too great on the way out, though, I tell you.
Sounds like bullshit.
Listen, Vanilla Ice. Pass me that can, Duck.
Duck? Man, you gotta have a heart of stone and not feel for Kenny right there.
All war is a symptom of man's failure as a thinking animal. Steinbeck.
God damn it, Walter, you took my opportunity to flex my computer brain. Brain computer. Oh. Meat processor.
Well, we have plenty of time to catch you up on your reading. My partner Matthew is amassing quite the literature collection.
Not anymore.
As long as we have our wits about us, we can always make the right choice.
Ah, so that's why Sarah dies. Got it.
Don't mention it.
I don't know how to thank you.
Man, as goofy as the facial animations can be at times, often they nail it. Look how guilty Bonnie is right here knowing what's about to go down.
Just help someone else down the line.
You help one person, you help everyone.
That guy on the bridge was Walter's friend.
Whoa! Talk about a plot twist. And like any good one, they give us all the clues to piece it together if we're astute. Man, Teacher Walt would have loved my choice language.
I can't, man. I can't. Do not blow it. Blow it! It's over. I have to tell him, Luke.
So Nick really is our bent replacement in this game. They screw up with good intentions. I really enjoy Nick a lot more because his screw-ups all stem directly from his traumas versus just being a bubbling idiot. And like I mentioned earlier, the former is better for making us like a character more. I love it. For all of Walter's niceties, however earnest, he stole a survivor and checked their bags. There's two ways to take someone like Walter. Someone trying to hide something like the St. John's, or just a straight up good dude. Like, well, Walter. Not that one. Woo! Dolly zooms. Man, this scene is way more tense since Walter has been nothing but a sweetheart this whole game. We have no clue what he's capable of. Well, Pete did try to warn us. Man, what a spot to be put in, and if you don't play it out right, Walter doesn't save Nick here. At least the last thing he saw was Matt, and gets to be with him now. And let me say, the way his arc plays works for both sides. If he saves Nick, his arc is completed, and learn to forgive one of the most heinous things someone can do in this world. If he doesn't, what goes around comes around. And to have it work both ways for a satisfying narrative is just what the doctor ordered. We open the episode with a moth, which very often gets associated with death, which is rampant in this episode. It's also telling of what kind of ship Carver is running, with people believing House to be a safe zone, like moths to a flame. And it's indicative of what every character but Kenny believes Wellington to be.
No, stop!
You don't want to test me, girl. I'll pass every time.
Leave her alone!
Carver be like,
Boy, you won't stop.
This episode's title simply refers to the herd that comes towards House.
Say that again.
I'd stay out of this, boy.
Mister, I ain't a boy.
No, right. You're a man.
Actually, he's...
That regardless of intent, there are consequences to rash actions. Something that he seems to be misreading as capitulation.
I don't know what the you're saying, but I know it's bullshit.
Never change, Kenny.
We can't just sit here.
How is it the kid is the only one that sees what's going on here?
Clem, the adults are talking.
Is that what this is?
Clap back, Clem. And get out of here, Carlos, trying to baby every little kid like your daughter.
Kenny!
Oh, thank God.
All these feelings you have of anger, betrayal, hate, they're all valid. No one needs to forget what they did. But we do have to find it in our hearts to forgive them.
I really like Carver. Big Negan energy coming from him. Villains doing the right thing the wrong way is always the way to go.
To provide a light, a bright light, bright enough to shine in all this darkness.
Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Who's she?
Who?
The girl over there?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so she's weird. They found her sneaking around outside the camp covered in guts and just like the grossest shit.
I really liked Reggie a lot. He was like our own Mead for this game. I really wished he didn't fall off that building. Between his voice actor name and writing, there could have been so many funny scenes with him.
The building's getting more and more secure all the time, mostly through forced labor, but that's only temporary. They've even got the solar panels working.
Well, we just came from a lodge with a wind turbine.
It's not a competition.
I don't think we can trust him. I mean, clearly he's already drank too much of the Kool-Aid.
Ah, man. I love me a little cult reference. Magustelation. Hail yourselves, friends.
I was hoping you'd catch something these old eyes missed. They're getting more and more useless.
You might be speaking a little too soon, Kenny.
God damn. You really knocked the shit out of her, Doc.
That's what I was saying. I guess better to get her good than risk having to do it again because it wasn't hard enough.
She's one of the new people. She was with Carlos and Sarah.
Sarah? I wish she'd stayed gone.
She's had a hard time, Becca.
So have we.
So you're going to be finding a lot of characters from 400 Days here in House. Just a nice little bone thrown to those that did play those mini episodes.
I justified not going by telling myself it's easier to try and change something that's broken than start all over.
Clearly you've never made an omelet.
I didn't know what you'd think. You better watch yourself. I think some folks might be jealous of that cool jacket of yours.
Oh, there you are. What's with the ugly jacket?
Oh my God, the pace of that setup and payoff almost gave me a whiplash.
This isn't that hard, Sarah.
I know. I'm just afraid I'll make a mistake.
It won't be the end of the world if you do.
Tell that to Reggie. A little move Kenny picked up from Lee when he pinned Kenny like that in the train car.
Stop! Hey, it's me.
Luke!
Luke's alive. You may be wondering how the heck Luke got in here. Judging by him butting heads with Bill about how to run things, I'd say he was pretty high in the totem pole and learned a few things about the place. The comic book store is riddled with different actual comics published by Skybound and Image Comics, such as Ghosted, Super Dinosaur, and one I know you'll recognize, Invincible. In case you weren't sure Carver's a bad guy, he's got a nice bottle of whiskey and a bowl of apples!
I know it when I see it. And we're more alike than you think. In fact, I think you realize it, but you're not comfortable with it yet.
This line, from what I hear, really starts striking true in the events of Season 3, and I'm real excited to dig into that.
What if it's not yours?
Well, even if that was true, it's mine now.
Sounds like Rick in Season 2. Kinda.
That idiot. Herd on its way, and he puts a goddamn ding in my door.
Dude killed Reggie because of some berries, but let the door slide for Troy? I don't know. Something tells me Carver's not that good a guy.
There was a girl back at Crawford that used church bells to send walkers all over the city. We just need something really loud.
If you ask Carlos, he'd say that you're our guy, Kenny.
Oh, you have your pockets all out.
Smooth, Kenneth.
Tough is all we got now. Get that through your skulls.
Oh, I'm sure somebody will be up to speed with that real soon. Negan impression good? Bad? Pretty bad, right?
Now you can start by telling me where the other one is.
I
got it right here.
I don't care what people say about Kenny in the group or online. No matter what, he always put the group first, even when he was being bullheaded, and that's why I stuck by his side. Now, did they name him Mike before they removed part of his ear or after? Because there's no way that's a coincidence.
Good. 'Cause you won't have to.
Does losing an eye always make someone look more badass? Hell yeah, Alvin.
Get back!
And there's the checkmate I mentioned earlier. 1, 2, 3. And Carver's the mate. And of course he'd believe himself the white, the light, the good side. Carver always kept talking about building a new future, and he died at the end of a tool used for that. Just some poetic justice for you.
It's gonna get messy.
I know.
Often in theater and film, you always want to have your actor's face to be seen, nothing blocking the performance. But when you know your craft, you can break these rules, and TellTale does. Just showing us Kenny's patch is way more menacing and apt for his revenge on Carver.
Now look at you. You're a mess.
Really? You want to call Kenny a mess? Pot, kettle black, am I right? Of course Kenny focuses on his eye, and notice it's on the same side as his. If it was the opposite side, I'd take this as TellTale referencing an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. But they don't, so to me, this is them telling us in this world stuff like this isn't going to be the end.
I don't think we're gonna be able to stitch this
Together.
Man, you smell really bad. You gotta get a bath before we...
You shot my dick out!
Come on. Don't make any noise. Got it?
If only Troy had some post-nut clarity, but, like, also, comeuppance for the sexual deals you'd make with Jane. Okay, finally! I've been waiting this whole episode to talk about all the parallels to the comics. I love this episode so much because of how much was retooled from the graphic novels. We've got the No Way Out storyline, but inverted, wanting the Horde to win. We've got someone losing an eye, then someone losing their hand against their will. Carver being a lot like Negan with earning your place in the camp through forced labor. And finally, the way Carver's eye popped out really looked a lot like our friendly neighborhood pizza delivery guy. No, not that one!
I'm not leaving, baby. Get the f away from us! It isn't gonna go like this. Kenny!
Well, now Kenny knows what it's like to be in Lily's shoes. This episode's title is in reference to what the hell our character's about to do amid the ruins of Howe's, of losing people, and most importantly, of Kenny's ruins. His psyche and how it's been ruined at its core for the rest of the season. Man, let me get whatever soap they're using to wash up so fast.
I'm so sorry about Sarita.
Sorry, huh? Well, that's nice of you, seeing as this was your fault in the first place.
We can all look at Kenny from the outside and recognize he's being unfair and irrational. But on the flip side of that, the way the entire group treats Kenny after losing his second wife is also unfair and irrational. Everyone deals with trauma differently, and to diminish those feelings is a recipe for disaster. Especially considering everyone has been through similar traumas as Kenny here, it really raises the tension on why I sided with him, because they should be understanding of what he's going through, but they refuse to. Which brings me to how much I love the setting for this episode, the Civil War Memorial. From the name of episode 2 and how our entire group are at each other's throats, to the eventual fight at the end of 5. This game was Captain America's Civil War before it was cool.
You think because you're a little girl, you can just get people killed and no one will care? That because you're sorry, it'll all magically go away? That's not how it works!
Man, I love Clem's reaction here. So often during this game, I forgot that she was only 11, and though she's been through a lot, she's still a kid. And seeing her recoil, scared from the one man that's been by her side this whole time is heartbreaking.
We should go find Luke, Sarah, and Nick. If they're in trouble, we might be able to help them.
The statue is such a cool symbol for this episode. Each character has a different way of interpreting it. Jane feels regret over not saving her sister. Rebecca sees herself as the one that needs to be carried. Clem feels an obligation to carry everyone on her back and keep the group together. Kenny keeps his back to the statue most of the episode, not willing to help at all. Finger off the trigger! Shows her inexperience, I guess. Check out the words over her shoulder. Once that baby comes, there will be no turning back. Maybe Clem is a superhero. I don't know about you, but kicking in a door is way harder than games and movies makes it seem.
And your dad protected you because he wanted you to live. He would still want that.
Though she's been bruised or cracked, like her glasses, through Clem's words, Sarah is able to see again. Hey, even though Jane has been kind of an ass about everything, she makes sure everyone is up safe first.
You did good getting out of there. Now you gotta keep it up. But I'm not okay. Just don't let me down.
Well, I mean, she's not gonna let you down, but she might be the one going down.
The way she is, she's gonna cause problems.
Okay, I've got to say something. Was anyone else just super annoyed with Jane the entire game? Always doubting and boo-hooing? I haven't felt the same vitriol for a character since Dutch in RDR2. That's either good writing to make me feel something or terrible. I'll let you decide.
Why the hell couldn't Carver have just finished me off?
I don't know. With how excited he was about having this baby with Rebecca, I don't think he's that into you, Ken.
We can eat raccoon?
I'd eat the shit out of that raccoon. Not like, I mean, just that I'd be really happy to eat that raccoon. I am starving.
That delivery was perfect. Man, the game's really trying to tell us, don't kill them, they got babies, you should think about that family and blah, blah, blah. I just see more meat on the table. First time we see that plaque is with Kenny in front of it. How poignant.
You're a good kid, Clementine. I'm glad you'll be there to watch out for this baby.
The more than you realize. And that line basically signed your death warrant. Gotta watch what you say in the apocalypse.
Well, I guess Jane's really rubbed off on you.
Not the only person she's gonna be rubbing off on.
I just want to survive. And that means picking the right sides.
I think Luke missed a valuable lesson that Kenny understands from a Disney Channel original classic.
That's about as human as I've felt in a long time. I almost forgot what... Clementine!
I mean, in all reality, can you blame him? He's still a youngish boy, you know, and it's tough out here. Hey, this whole time we were expecting Sarah's incompetence to get her killed, but would you look at that? Expectations subverted.
Somebody's gotta watch you while Mama gets her beauty sleep.
Oh, I love how much of a family man Kenny is.
I'm sorry.
Season 2 takes steps to frame Kenny as imprinting and taking too much ownership over AJ, but every time someone calls him out, he immediately listens. Given the circumstances, I'd take Kenny being a little oppressive over Jane's indifference any day.
Everybody keep your eyes open.
Try telling that to Kenneth. Man, it seems like Lazarovich survived Shangri-La. There's something to be said about episodic releases and building hype, but I'm so glad I didn't have to wait a month to play episode 5 after that massive cliffhanger. Can't go wrong with the Saving Private Ryan Dazed and Confused scene.
English, mother.
Do you speak it? It's over, man. He ain't a threat to us.
How can you say that? Of course he is. Get out of the way.
Just give them some time, Kenny. Everyone hated Shane for doing what had to be done. They'll come around.
And I want to see more people dead. Then close your eyes and I'll make it quick.
Kenny, quick as a whip.
You don't have to constantly be criticizing him.
I'm not. I'm pointing it out.
That's got the same energy as, I'm not mean, I'm blunt. Also, I didn't mention this in season 1, but the art style is very much TellTale, but if you compare it to the comics, you'll notice just how much the two styles match up. There was a lot of care that went into this game and staying faithful to the comics, and it shows. This episode title is No Going Back. That relates to pushing forward to Wellington and the outcome of the fight between Jane and Kenny.
Go on and talk to him. I got Clem if I need anything.
Okay.
Here, just take the baby.
Smart. Seeing AJ might make Kenny's up a bit.
Nick, Pete, Alvin and Becca, Carlos, Sarah.
You can't blame yourself.
Man, with everything going on, you really do tend to forget everyone you've lost along the way. Makes sense when people just dive into their work or what have you to just forget about all the shit going on, whether in the zombie apocalypse or in real life.
Alvin Jr. it is.
Aww, though it's not his and he never got to meet him, in a way he gets to live on. I would be lying though if I said I wasn't half expecting him to name him Goose.
I'm changing your bandage.
Sounds like I don't have much choice in the matter.
You don't.
Clem talking to Kenny like he's the kid now. I love it.
Alvin should be here, raising this boy. It should be him.
You see, Kenny's not being weird about it, Luke. He's just racked with guilt and feels the need to make up to Alvin by being there for AJ.
The best thing you can do for Alvin and Rebecca is raise him right. Make sure he's safe.
I intend to.
He says as he stares down Arvo. Maybe if they didn't have AJ, Kenny wouldn't be so damn hard on him. I mean, probably not, but one can dream. Oh, my heart.
At least I don't have to worry about paying off them student loans.
I hear that. I'm sure there's some asshole sitting on that paperwork, waiting to collect.
Mike gets it.
Majored in art history.
That's cool.
Sounds like you majored in working in a coffee shop.
Kenny gets it.
10 minutes? Man, that's longer than I'd last at this point.
Hey.
All right, it wasn't 10 minutes.
Come on. We got a little one around.
Sorry. Forget I said anything.
That's gross.
Clementine get... one day she'll understand.
Your moves are working on all the ladies.
Worked on me.
Bonnie gets it. Oh, I guess not. Jane gets it. Okay, I'm done. I'm done simping for Luke and getting it. We're done.
Well, that's fine. But I can confirm there was no time for kissing.
These moments are always some of the best in these type of games. I'm sure I'm not alone saying this was my favorite scene of the entire game. Check out Kenny, finally coming around and having some understanding of their bumping of uglies. I guess it's only fitting that everyone from the cabin survivors die. Guess Luke took a nice and wound a little bit too far.
Commie piece of shit.
I don't know. The way he tried to rob you was quite the opposite. Or completely in line. Depends on who you ask. That's just some fun camera work.
What about Arvo?
Who? Oh, the Rusky? Yeah, he ain't coming with us.
Something I noticed between the first 2 seasons is there's a much bigger focus on just plain and simple survival in the second than first, which is not a bad thing at all because that opens the door for a slew of different themes they could tackle. Namely, where the first game was all about family and choosing them, this one is about loyalty among those strangers you might call family. From the people in Carver's encampment to the cabin survivors to Clem and Kenny's relationship. Everything we go through is a test of our loyalty, whether to the cabin survivors or Kenny or maybe even Carver. No, I'm kidding, not Carver.
Look. We got maybe a day's worth of food for that kid left.
And that's where Mike and Kenny differ greatly. Mike said they've got about a week's worth of food left, not thinking about AJ at all. But Kenny is, and he knows babies. He knows what AJ needs, and without Kenny looking directly out for him, he's a dead boy.
Look, we'll figure everything out in the morning.
Not even for a second does leaving or crossing the group come into Kenny's mind. And I played a loyal Clem, so if there was ever a time he'd spill it, it'd be right here.
What are you doing?
I got the rest of it. Clem.
And would you imagine that? Kenny was all worked up about Jane leaving the baby behind. Well, he was right in a way, but everyone was wrong about everyone in this situation. All problems come from terrible communication skills, let me tell you. Oh, shit! Could you imagine if they killed Clem and we played as Kenny for the next game?
Clementine.
Oh, okay, it was all just a pet dream. Thank God. Lee is alive, and everything's gonna be okay. Right? Right? And how great is it to get a Lee cameo and get to talk to him for the one time as Clem?
Because bad things happen to everyone. And it's hard to keep being yourself after they do.
Leave it to Lee to lay it all out for us and why everyone in this season has kind of been a shit show.
I hate math.
Me too, Sweet Pea.
Oh, I forgot how much I missed the Sweet Pea.
I couldn't see the damn road.
Bet you're having trouble seeing a lot of things these days.
Jane also likes my one-eyed jokes.
He's...
What are you saying? No. No!
No, not again.
Just from this little line, we know for sure that Krista lost her baby in a similar way. Not stillborn or childbirth complications. This has got to be the biggest decision TellTale has made us make yet. I don't know how much this impacts Season 3, but it's got to mean a lot, right? And that's why I hate Jane. There is no world where using a baby as a pawn to show what someone really is rational and in good company. And what the heck did she expect to happen? Kenny's entire goal now is living his life for AJ. And once he sees that she got him killed, seriously, what was her endgame here? I know she lost her sister and whatnot, but Kenny lost his family too. Twice. To me, there's no decision to make here.
Hey, listen, I didn't want that to happen either. I thought she'd killed Alvy, Clem, and at any point she could have stopped what was happening by saying he was fine.
And there it is. I would love to hear some of your arguments about siding with Jane down below, if you have any at all. Oh, that's the first time Kenny initiated a hug with Clem. Remember what Kenny said about when there's smoke, there's fire?
Come on, I'll race you to the top.
Hey!
Daddy Ken came out just for a second.
Just take the kids.
What?
Please, just take the kids. It's too dangerous out here for them.
Oh, no. Oh, no, here it comes.
You can take back the supplies you gave us if that helps. Please, just... I need them to be safe. Safe in there. Think about Alvy here. Please, Clem, just do as I'm asking. This one last time.
Y'all already know I'm such a sap, and I'm tearing up again rewatching this scene for the script. And I didn't think the end of this game could be more emotional than the first, but god damn it, they did it. Lee's death was a bit easier to swallow as we knew there was nothing we could do about it. But here, with Kenny, he's alive. We're leaving him, and knowing he's out there hurts so much more. Seeing him push us away, knowing how much he loves us, just, it got me so good.
Take this. When he's old enough, you make him wear it. It'll keep the sun out of his eyes. That's important.
Kenny wanted to be his father so badly, and he wanted to leave at least a part of him with Alvin, but still knows that's not his boy and makes a little excuse about it being to keep the sun out of his eyes. But like, even with that gesture, he's still trying to help AJ in every way he can right before he goes.
Now, I'm gonna walk away, and I might not look back. Not because I don't want to.
Oh, I'm really sad right now, but god damn it, does it feel good to cry. And he doesn't look back. Ugh. Maybe I should have just killed Kenny and went with Jane to avoid this heartache. And they really could have just ended the series here if they wanted to. Everything was practically wrapped up with any characters we really cared about, and Clem and AJ are safe. Gosh, guys, the end of this game is always so rough. And from what I know about TellTales, and I'm going to continue being a wreck as we go through the next 2 seasons. Walking Dead Season 2 for me really was about Clementine and Kenny. The second I saw him, there was nothing the game was able to do to ever have me leave his side. I really don't think this season would have worked nearly as good if he wasn't along for the ride. But also, it wouldn't have been as good if we didn't play as Clementine throughout the entire game. I can't be the only one that 100% played differently because we were playing as her. Some might want to channel their inner Lee and make choices to protect her, or just dive headfirst like with watching Carver get his face beat in. On another note, if you want more thoughts about the TellTale illusion of choice structure, then I'd recommend checking out my video on the first season, as I detail all my thoughts there. I'm really curious about how I'm going to like Season 3, because I know for a time of it, you don't even see Clem at all for a while, so make sure you subscribe to see when that drops. What did you all think of Season 2? I still enjoyed Season 1 as a whole more, but you can't deny how emotional that ending is for 2. So there are 42 starting points by TellTale with this game. And say you're a dumb YouTuber who does nothing but play and talk about games day and night and lose your save file somehow and can't import your save. We've got this handy dandy cheat sheet to quickly create your Clementine. And with how the last season left off, it was necessary to have your own Clementine. This season isn't labeled Season 3, very specifically A New Frontier. A New Frontier as in the faction of the little Bernie babies we meet later. Also as in a new central protagonist, Javi, and an entire family around him, plus Gabe. Since this isn't a continuation of Clem's story as directly as we'd all hoped, it was smart to not call it Season 3, to set our expectations on what this story was going to focus on. And with the exhaustive amount of very different endings for Season 2, there was no real way TellTale was going to satisfyingly create such a branching story as to accommodate them all. That would be a momentous amount of work, as cool as it may have been. They really wrote themselves into a corner, and for what we got, it's... well, it keeps the story going, and hurrah for that! Looking at you, Kenny and Jane flashbacks.
Hey, David, I had to leave my car. Traffic's just backed up for miles.
Javi, the entire game, is unjustly judged by David for things he can't control. Javi just sprinted for miles to make it to the house. So, 1, maybe don't be a hater on Javi for being an ex-baseball player. Probably the only reason he could run that far, David. And 2, Javi just ran for miles to try and be there for his family. I really dig the new engine for this game. Going back to The Walking Dead Season 2 was a little rough to watch, and this visual uplift with the more nuanced facial animations really helped not break my immersion with things like these.
It wasn't for touching kids, was it?
¿Dónde está Javier? ¿Dónde está mi hijo? I'm there, right beside him, holding his hand.
First it was probably being heckled for just being in the US Army, and now he's all insecure over his little brother. It's always the biggest dudes around, right?
Why are you fighting?
One more word and you're next, Gabe! If I had $1 for every time I could take or refuse someone's hand in a TellTale game, I'd have enough for a McDonald's meal. It's not a lot, but I'm riding this hungry. Javi doesn't drink it, uses it to ice his wound. We've already got David drinking. Shows us how these two really are. Who is really the bigger brother? Because throughout, Javier seems to be constantly putting David in his place and making up for his mistakes. Whereas David, on the other hand, also that one deals directly with problems, and David avoids and doesn't talk about them, which can be very indicative of his years of service.
You think I was jealous of you? Well, I was.
But hey, a traumatic event might be just what we need to kickstart a little bit of character development in our lives.
Dicen que no hay servicio.
I really dig the cross-cutting between the game and the opening credits. It accomplishes 2 things: getting the credits out of the way in a more engaging manner, and raises the tension of Grandpa getting hungry.
People's awake.
And on the line of our first walker and A New Frontier, we get our title card for, The Walking Dead. been a while since The Walking Dead had any really horror elements, but a little girl, a shadow, and a sound of a walker, plus the dramatic irony of them not knowing what's coming, kept me on the edge of my seat, seeing if they were about to just off a kid right from the start. Sorry for the choppy footage, by the way. We all know how much of a win TellTale's engines are.
Él está loco, él atacó a Héctor!
Like how when it's really hitting the fan, they all switch into Spanish. David, maybe if you were a Marine and not Army, you wouldn't have just been beaten by an old man. I respect the military. It's all just jokes with how much heckling the Army gets from the other branches. Tall out. The animation work is also quite the step up. I'm fresh off playing the final season, and it seems to have really peaked here with the New Frontier.
Get the kids. Meet at the hospital. Don't take the highway. It's blocked.
Can we please just get a zombie story that almost exclusively hangs out around the fall and not always time skip? And I mean, like, a whole season or game, not just like a little bit. It's so interesting every time I see it, like in Fear the Walking Dead or the opening of The Last of Us. I want to see governments fall, goddammit! Oh, what's that have to do with this game? I'm a sucker for these sequences, so just hearing the highways blocked gets me all riled up. And that's where it really starts hitting the fan. When you've got infected people hitting up hospitals that haven't already been strapped down for acting crazy. That's a damn effective intro. We're introduced to our entire main cast and get an idea of their relationships with some fun dramatic irony of them not understanding zombies in just under 10 minutes. We know David's a little jealous asshole, Javi's that dude, Cave Def wants a bite out of him, Mariana's incident and totally gonna survive the apocalypse, and Gabe's annoying. All the tape, the pots hanging, the barred up window really shows how much they've lived in this van. And judging by how much older the kids are, we get how uncomfortable it must be. That this is definitely not a Janelle Eliana van.
I can't believe you found weed.
For everyone that makes fun of my subtitles being off sometimes, here you go. Even big companies do it. Let's pull a
classic
YouTuber
and shift blame. Shaun, how could you mess this up?
I quit.
I suppose it did.
Do you miss him?
TellTale's The Walking Dead has always had some of the best ambient music in the game. Always so calm and reassuring.
The second you start getting boners, the whole world starts to get dark.
Or a whole lot wider. I mean lighter.
I need to get laid.
Oh, I can pull over. It wouldn't take a minute.
I mean, I don't think you understand how that sounds. Right now, we just think she's tossing in her sleep. But homegirl's grossed out right now.
Okay, now I'm sorry I did that.
TellTale puts the most superfluous things to look at in their games, but at least sometimes it makes me chuckle.
Hey, Gabe, let's go take a look over there.
Trying to evolve the kid, even if you don't really want to. It's like when your parents would force you to go hang out with the weird neighbor kid, and this is the neighbor's kid.
And if Muertos were to somehow surround us.
Muertos means dead. I like it. Zombies don't traditionally exist in the universe, and everyone has different names for them. Like the Woodbury crew, before. Called them biters.
Yeah, well, you owe me like a dozen.
What? Like 12 minutes of your life you won't get back?
Look, I get it, all right?
Oh, heck yeah. I love when our bad guys aren't just a dot, but a whole ass cube.
Holy shit!
Okay, I have no idea why you dropped the gun, if not for TellTale needing the story to go in a certain way, and this was the least effort. Like, Javi is not the kind of guy to throw away his advantage. I would remove a win, but doing so would make the counter like one of the previous ones didn't even happen. And we can't forget and roll over on the good things in life because there is some bad in it. There's your fortune cookie wisdom. Do with it how you may. But yo, check it out. They were wearing seatbelts. I wonder if there's a character later who's been a father to many kids that will forget about them while teaching someone how to drive.
All right.
That's good.
I couldn't be the only one hyped when we heard Melissa Hutchinson's voice. Finally, the story's getting interesting. She will remember that. Who was TellTale trying to fool? Give him points for trying, though. Aw, she's all grown up.
Now don't do anything stupid. Because I'll shoot a lot quicker than you did.
Damn, not only is she older, she turned into a little badass. They're going all in on Clem being the bad guy. Eating an apple and everything. Also, seeing Clem right now gets our heads spinning about where the heck is AJ? Or Jane? Or Kenny? Though Jane was a piece of shit, and I will die on this hill, she did teach Clem one thing.
Muertos.
Clem/Melissa doesn't put an accent when saying muertos. I've heard that doing so just sounds so dumb, if not insulting to those that actually speak that way. How do you guys feel about it?
Walkers.
Well, what do you call the ones that run?
They're all walkers, okay?
Love Clem's new potty mouth too. And wait, let's just back up a second. The ones that run? You want to clarify that?
God effing damn it, Francine. One of these days, those doors are gonna close and your ass will be on the other side.
Now, that's some Francine's gonna be stuck on the other side of the door shadowing, if I've ever heard some.
And when that day comes, Trip.
And like his namesake, he's tripping.
This ain't no way to do business.
And this is the biggest problem with New Frontier. We have a massive bias towards Clem and make decisions based on our relationship with her, and not any shared feelings we might hold for someone with Javi makes him feel like less his own character and more of a player insert.
Clem, come on.
He knows the bullets don't work. Listen to him. He's not even nervous.
He's just got a good poker face, a la the game that was just played at the bar. His gasp shows that he didn't actually know.
What I need are bullets that won't get me killed.
Now, that's the first oh shit moment of the game. Not even 5 minutes in Prescott, and we've already aided in murder. The apocalypse is most likely boring as fuck and not full to the brim with all the shit our characters gotta deal with if you think about it.
But Eli was a grade A certified dipshit. I'll even have someone come take a look at that cut.
It's refreshing not having survivors constantly be on edge and mistrusting of newcomers. Tripp is up there as the best additions to the cast, right there next to Javi.
But I still trust Tripp more than I trust her.
Clem's instincts turns out to be 100% correct with the way Eleanor turncoats in Richmond.
You know, when I met you, I thought you'd just be another asshole like everyone else.
It is kind of nice not playing as Clem in this game for most of it. We fell in love with Clem in the first game because of the person she was, not who we made her to be. And now, seeing her post-season 2, we kind of get to do that all over again.
Hey, what you drawing there, goofball?
That's gonna come back around and make us cry, isn't it? So here is where we'll get the flashbacks to the most hastily wrap-up you've ever seen in your life. It's not great. Kenny just dies because of the dumbest reason in a car accident. Jane commits forever sleep and reinforces that I was totally right about her in my last video, and that's why I'm winning it. I reference to Judith's actual fate in the comics with Lori. Is stealing my brother's wife not the most messed up funny plot line you've ever seen in a zombie apocalypse story, or what? Oh wait, you already kind of did that with Shani Rick? Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hey, you hurt yourself.
Must have scraped it in the truck. Didn't even notice.
Yep, doesn't surprise me.
Thanks.
Jesus, TellTale, why'd you have to do us like that? Why couldn't it be the other one? Uh-oh. Kate's ring is off and Javi walks up to her, visually telling us that this interaction isn't going to be marred by her marriage.
You'll be jet-setting and I'll still just be here.
It's on the nose, but I can't help but appreciate the visual storytelling. Kate's dialogue with her ring in focus, having her shatter a glass of David's. All such a great way to clue us in on what's really going on without outright saying, Javi, my marriage is falling apart.
I already dug a grave for her.
Clementine really can't help but just be the best, can't she?
And like a daughter to me.
People like to shit on New Frontier for its lackluster story, but I don't know. The little brother who steps up to become the father of his brother's family has a lot of legs for an engaging story. And when we meet David later, I was actually all in.
I couldn't leave you alone.
That's because
the player's known her for about 20 hours.
They call themselves the New Frontier.
That's a bit of a twist from what I'm sure all of us are expecting a New Frontier to mean.
I can take you back to Prescott, make sure your family's okay. But then I'm hitting the road.
Kinda like Kenny. The Prescott theme really resonated with me this season. It stands out so much as a New Frontier's theme, for me. Like I mentioned earlier, calm and reassuring, which is in short supply in the apocalypse.
I just ran away like a stupid little kid.
I've been giving Gabe a lot of shit, mostly undeserved. TellTale did him dirty in this game, leaning too hard on the naive, angsty teen angle, but the spirit of what Gabe represents really resonates with me. And there are some good moments for him, like here, seeing him process and grow after Mariana's death. Locker Bomb, certified hood classic among The Walking Dead.
That gate ain't bulletproof! Don't make me prove it! Fact of the matter is...
This entire conversation, we've got Max giving the worry eyes to Mr. Trigger Happy. I like that he's...
doing the worst things for reasons that sound almost noble.
Kinda, right? I just needed an excuse to use that clip.
You need someone else to talk to that understands what you're going through.
Puberty, am I right? I once slapped a kid in the 6th grade because he looked at me funny. Still kind of feel bad about that one after all these years. I'm still quite impressed that these performances are only maybe going off of reference footage from the recording booths of the voice actors. All these animators need to handcraft every little reaction, every little eyebrow twitch and squinted eye. I've said it so many times. Animators are actors. Probably understand the human face and what reactions match with what performance better than even the actors themselves.
Awfully convenient the pass is blocked like this.
Not convenient at all, if you ask me.
Conrad went to the drag school of English. Yo, TellTale finally found a way of making Walker clearing feel like it should. Fast, efficient, and really not that difficult. No, don't get on them. You're supposed to get under them. I guess it's safe to assume with how great a survival Jesus is, he always keeps 2 pairs of the exact same clothing, just in case he might need to make a decoy of himself when surrounded by a horde of walkers on a building with an unknown threat screaming at him from across the street, a situation that we all find ourselves in. Anything just because you're bringing a legacy character from the comics / show that we're all going to sound like you're not titled season 3 season? Well, that's exactly right. This isn't how Jesus sounded in my head in the comics, but I really dig it, and I love Jesus, so I love this. Knowing Jesus from the comics, you're really going to need all those guns to restrain him. This is another situation where our biases come into harm rather than help the story. As cool as it is to see Jesus in the story, Herschel from season 1 did it better, as we really didn't have any altercation where we truly needed to cast judgment on him, and it worked much better than Clem, or Jesus. Win for season 1, I guess. Good job, TellTale.
It's Paul, but my friends call me Jesus.
With this flashback coming off his introduction, I love the idea that the Lord above sent Clem into shock about her past with the New Frontier. Really feeling like she needs to hit the church up on Sunday. I was hoping they would do it, and...
You crazy son of a bitch, you're dead.
This is a live inside from the first season, a track that played all the time when Lee and Clem were being all cute together. I'm not, the biggest fan of children, but AJ is pretty cute.
It's not the whole truth.
Ooh, Conrad dropping some eaves.
I was one of them.
If you wanted to ratchet the stakes, well, there you go. Clementine being our most beloved character, and the bunch having a history with our bad guys, and possibly being one of them, what's not to love? There's that Ninja Jesus that was sorely missing in the TV show.
She used to be part of the New Frontier.
I just don't know what the hell is going on anymore.
Trip is just that good guy that's there for the ride, not exactly knowing what's going on, but trying his best.
Practicing on walkers or whatever the they do.
See what I mean?
Jesus, how far is it to their compound?
Aw, they're friends.
That girl your people shot? That was her daughter.
I feel pretty confident in appealing to Max's humanity through not anything he explicitly said, but more of his reactions to the world around him, and that's something TellTale does well. Is it a little heart on the sleevey most of the time? Kinda, but I don't mind it. These first 2 episodes feel like twist after shock, and I really dig the plot. Imagine if we had some rearranging of the characters we already knew from the first 2 seasons. You'd be all over it. Either way, I like this. David and Javi's relationship is the beating heart of this game, and I'm glad they didn't waste too much time getting him back in there. I didn't think it would trend having each episode start with a flashback, but I like it. Helps us start somewhere more engaging than just playing right where we left off. Plus, with giving more context to our principal character's lost style.
Okay, if we're lucky, we won't see a single one of those things.
Without even telling us, those things dates exactly when we are in the outbreak. Check out the frame. It's the motel we stayed at season 1.
If I need any help, I'll just ask my friends.
Yeah, about that. Ooh, blowing the light out on their marriage. Cute and sad that Mari goes for her Teddy. In this world, there is no room for innocence.
Javi.
Damn, doesn't even notice Gabe and goes straight for Javi. More signs on how he was as a father.
Hey.
What is she, flirting with me?
Hey.
Jesus goes from startled to pulling on that sweet man goofy grin. Love Jesus. David might not be perfect, but he's still got the simple dad stuff down. Kate's desire to run from this place stems directly from her experience feeling trapped in a cage with David. And now that David is back and running security, you can imagine how compounded that feeling inside her must be. She's wanted to escape David her whole marriage, and not even safety and security can mask the trauma she harbors from her loveless marriage.
Strange how it just comes and goes.
What are you trying to say?
I'm worried about her.
Our little flirtationship with Kate makes every little thing David says seem to be under that context. Even when Homeboy has no clue that we're totally taking this girl. Raises the tension in every interaction with him. So the logo for the New Frontier is mostly rooted in cut content, but there are still some interesting things we could draw from it. The slaughterhouse we visit later in this episode used to be called the Capricorn Farms. They would bring people in to be slaves and brand them with the Capricorn astrological sign, particularly the 76 version of it, but all of that was cut. Also, if you believe/care about astrology, David fits perfectly into the general things a Capricorn is, just like how everyone is perfect for their sign. But it's harmless fun in this video. So, Capricorns, they happen to be reserved with their emotions, determined. Once they're attached, they hold on as tight as they can, and a natural born leader, all traits David has. Or it looks like the number 76, as in 1776. Independence Day for the US, and Richmond is like the first colony taken back from the Redcoats/Walkers. Did I just compare the British to Walkers? Maybe, but can you blame me when they've got similar leaking teeth? Sorry, Sean, I love you.
They look pretty, but it's all sugars. There's no substance.
Damn, are they just calling out their own game with that line, aren't they?
Of the essential superiority of his cream spinach over my magnificent Black Forest gâteau.
It's no contest. The spinach has real nutritional value.
In case you weren't sure that Joan is not the leader that Richmond needs, homegirls just wasting resources baking cake instead of, literally making anything else.
Some of your people, they keep me awake. In fact, some of them give me nightmares.
My people? I'm sorry, Javi, I don't quite follow.
Well, here they come on cue to help you out.
No, David, this cousin dirtbag.
Oh my god, Javi is not holding back.
Send them out with enough weapons to defend themselves, but no more.
I'll give Joan that. She's not completely heartless. Yet. Aw, David grabbed Javi's bed and held on to it all this time.
Always a mess, ain't it?
What's that?
Who you love, who loves you.
Ain't that the freaking truth? Clem to the rescue. Not just of Javi, but of my boredom. I also understand them not having Clem be playable during AJ's toddler years, as creating gameplay and story beats with our principal character being weighed down by something that can't even walk or defend itself would have been quite difficult. Better to just time skip to the more interesting part of when AJ's figuring out what kind of person he wants to be. Alive inside! It's alive inside playing! Teamwork.
Did you let him turn?
Fuck yeah, Clem. This is not the little girl I remember about lying about tasting the salt lick.
Did you lick it?
I don't know.
There's stuff here from the kingdom?
Kingdom fan service.
David, come on, man. We're a unit.
Trying to appeal to his military loyalty. Was I really hoping for a climactic moment with the baseball bat to call back to his old years playing for Baltimore? Yes. But he put that life behind him and went for the more practical route.
Where you'll go to get Kate and Gabe. Then bring them to my house. It's the one with the raven on the hitching post.
Ravens very often are an ill omen. Bringing Kate to David's house is the last thing she wants. Finally, a decision of David's I could get behind.
Oh, come on. Don't be a wuss.
I used to tell you the same thing.
Appealing to David's, toxic masculinity?
Things between me and Kate have been going downhill for a while.
For all the shit I give David, we finally get to see his perspective on things, which was sorely missing up to this point. Having him seeing their marriage going south instead of just the oblivious husband who could do no wrong almost makes me empathize with him. Almost.
If I go, it's gonna be hard on everyone. Kate may need help from time to time.
We are getting exact confirmation on why he didn't go back to the house after the outbreak. He saw this as a golden opportunity to do what he wanted to do. He mentioned going back to the military in this scene and said that once the world fell, he hooked up with his old unit. He did leave, just as he said he would.
You boys want to make it out of here. Just relax and trust in the process.
Can see why David really took to this place, just following orders no matter what. Going with the Independence Day idea, the New Frontier has placed their logo where the stars once went on the US flag, being the first new state of their new frontier.
Javi, I don't know if you heard us, but I think I f***ed it up with Eleanor.
Really? Now, Trip?
You make them in a split second, and then have to carry them the rest of your life. You understand?
TellTale trying to pitch what their games are about.
Freeze!
You know I gotta win the sauce?
I started bleeding. I know it's a thing.
Actually, this is the one. You know I gotta win the sauce. Yo, if we're gonna bully Abby about being jacked in the apocalypse, it's only fair that we bully Javi for being ripped after years of malnourishment. Ain't no way he's actually looking like that. But, showing off to your new friend.
Basically, all this means is you could become a mom, if you wanted.
Funny. I already felt like a mom.
Crazy how fast Clem had to grow up. Before she could even physically be a mom, she was one. Clementine is truly like no other apocalypse character we've had in recent times.
When AJ recovered, David was the one who stepped up.
David and Javier both become some stepdaddies.
Good to see you.
Clem's reaction. She knows so hard that boy is smitten. Ooh, a matte painting. Something that isn't used very often anymore, but always looks so good.
You said it wasn't that bad. It isn't.
Girlie is getting told off by a 13-year-old.
If we get to save Dad, then getting hurt is worth it. It's worth dying for.
Sealed your own fate with that one, bud.
It's nice to be driving around with a couple kids in the backseat again.
Woman stole my win from me.
Kind of amazing, isn't it? That in the middle of all this, they find time to flirt with each other.
Guess it just goes to show. You stick two people together, something's going to happen between them.
I hope I don't get stuck on the road with my sister in that case then, Kate.
You're so sure of what you're doing all this for. You didn't run away.
There's an entire arc for Javi where he's never there and always runs from his problems. And when we get into the game proper, he's already gone through all his growth to be there for Kate and the kids no matter what, living a very stagnant story throughout. And from the start, and even shown in flashbacks, Kate is already into Javi, so there really isn't much legs for that to run on either, since it's already a surefire thing. And there isn't even a will they, won't they. There is just, is the player going to romance her or not, which isn't really that engaging, at least for me. And maybe that's just a problem with choice-based games, and I'm being a little bit too harsh. But for me, these two things, coupled with the plot trying to have these epic moments with combat and battle, which these games are not suited for, then have Clem not be a central character of this game, and it's obvious why New Frontiers where a lot of people dropped off. For what it's worth though, the foundation TellTale has here for the Garcia family is as solid as it could ever be, and this is completely handicapped, I believe, being forced to jump years into the outbreak. The reason I just mentioned is why it seems that the depth and amount of wins seems to be a bit different from other games.
Someone to be proud of. Someone who sticks around.
And this could have been the concluding moment in his arc where he becomes the man he was always meant to be and the one that David could never be for Kate. At the very least, we are still getting this nice calm before the storm of Richmond imploding. My man's just broke bro code like no other bro could. Or did I? Kate's a catch!
You've put me in a no-win situation here.
Little did we know just how exactly of a no-win situation this was.
Kate, I need you to cover me. We gotta make things right. Okay.
Now look who's not being there and running away.
Oh, God!
Javi, you've got to get over there before...
The framing and Clem being cut off really transports us into that exact feeling of helplessness as Javier really well.
While we're still breathing, Javi.
A couple seconds thinking this is the apocalypse and oh, they're just playing dominoes. Basically the same thing.
So sorry.
Be sorry for your domino skills.
Pa's already accepted his fate.
How bad is it?
You won't have to worry about paying me back that $10.
Old people always have such a morbid sense of humor.
You are a f***ing coward!
Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. I'll be pulling the good old Gears of War. When I asked my barber for a little off the top.
Kate, I'm so glad
Javi,
you're...
thank God you're all right. Everyone but Prescott is dead.
Wow, Clem really wasn't a part of their merry band, was she?
I was triaging a bad situation.
A doctor using doctor talk to sew up her conversation. Coming in from downtown, TellTale is doing a really great job at making David the main villain of this story. We had Joan and some piece of shit members of Richmond, but throughout, David has been the main antagonist. Having it be a family member of ours makes it all the more complicated and more engaging.
Why don't you show a little follow-through?
David? Everyone hold back. Let Javi and I clear out these walkers.
David says walkers. TellTale doesn't just go, all the Hispanic characters say muertos, which I appreciate. I'm sorry, I had to. I've been thinking about it every time. My childhood, right there, boys and girls.
We should go lightest to heaviest. That way it won't break on the first swing.
I'll go first, Clem.
Is he calling her fat? No, he knows she's the lightest and is willing to take the fall for her.
He's my father, Clem. I'm sorry, but you really wouldn't understand.
You want to f***ing bet?
I won't let what happened to Mariana happen to you.
Just in case we thought that David had a chance of changing, like he mentioned on the rooftop conversation. Some people can't break their nature, and especially being in the military, that shit's ingrained in his head.
I know a losing battle when I see one.
Took a while to see your marriage losing. Ooh, got him.
David, no!
I know I'm fighting David and all, and that's cool, but this score is kind of going hard right now, no? About time that David's soldier background comes in to overpower someone. Yo, Jesus coming in with that trademark Kingdom armor.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Potato Boy would be proud.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Potatoes.
The Walking Dead can almost give Tomb Raider a run for its money with how gory its death scenes can be. Also, let's not forget to mention Jesus' beautiful man bun. Yeah, the pace of this game compared to the others is insane. The last episode is only an hour long, but glad they just got to the point instead of padding it out for no real reason.
Give me your gun, Javi. I don't want it.
I'll give Gabe this. At the end, he wasn't a little baby boy and became the man he wanted to be.
No, Gabe. I'll do it.
TellTale lets us do what we've been wanting to do this entire game. Truly a masterpiece.
You may not be my father, Javi, but you are a great dad.
That line will always get me no matter the context.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
Also, just want to use this moment to tell you how sad I am that the music in the following moment of that Guardian scene doesn't use the same track from Volume 1 when Quill saves Gamora. Such beautiful music and would have been a powerful callback to when he saved Quill the first time. Anyway, back to the game. What is this, Halo ODST?
Let's start a family. You and me.
Oh my god, girl got out of being a stepmother so she finally can have her own kids. Why do I feel like this is actually happening in real life?
You're a real charmer. You know that? Through and through.
Oh, you know what they say. Takes one to know one.
I ship it.
It's time. I have to find AJ, Javi.
Alive Inside is Clem's theme for sure, and anyone else whom she gets close to. The theme brings me back to my childhood when I first watched Nova play through Season 1, and it gives me this warm wave of nostalgia every time.
Who could forget you, Clem? No one who knew you, I guarantee it.
An unintended foreshadowing to the character who comes back in the final season, I'm sure.
Well, how's it look?
I'd say by the final season, she really rocks it.
Bring him back.
Anything you tell me, father. Jess Sheen's got a beautiful voice. Have I mentioned that yet? I don't even blame Kate. You know I love me some center framing. A New Frontier is for sure the most divisive of the Walking Dead seasons, for all the reasons, if not more, that I've already mentioned. By this time in Telltale's life, they were definitely struggling and spreading themselves too thin. After the success of The Walking Dead, every IP wanted to license themselves out to Telltale, hoping they would capture that same lightning for them. And Telltale bit off way more than they could chew. Having commitments to these other companies gave little time for engine improvements, time to focus on any individual game, and most importantly, less time to really hone in on the scripts and make the player choice angle really feel impactful, which kind of is their entire MO. You could really feel the pressure Telltale was under with A New Frontier and other Telltale games that were released around this time. The story was much shorter than we're used to, and the plot really was too Richmond-centric. The story didn't really evolve once we met David, making the last 3 episodes feel quite static. And to top it all off, we didn't have much Clem, who is the beating heart of this series. It's a shame that many outside factors plagued A New Frontier with how much we all enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Through its flaws and the poor mismanagement of the studio, we did get 2 good things out of the game. Clem's character remains intact, and her growth felt really natural, and it's nice to see her more independent. And then Javi. I really liked Javier. Maybe it's because he's got his brother to be compared to, so no matter what he did, he'd always seemed a better brother, but overall he's just decent. Such as his true fatherly nature, like when he was cutting Clem's hair. I know what they were trying to get at, and it would have worked if Clem and Hottie had more of a build-up in the relationship, but still enjoyed the callback though. A New Frontier really wasn't my favorite, and possibly at the bottom of all the Telltale games I've ever played, which is a shame, but not everything can be the first season of The Walking Dead. There was a lot of expectations and a very high standard set by the first 2 seasons that was not going to be very easy to clear. And through all the turmoil and crunch, I really feel for the employees over at Telltale and hope they found healthier homes in other studios and continue to use their talents. Well folks, we finally made it. The final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead. I only thought it poetic to take 2 years to complete the series, as the final season had major development problems halfway through production, so why not me? As this was a series I grew up with, literally experienced the first season when I was 12 years old, it's bittersweet to finally create the last video I may ever write in this universe. It only took about 12 years for me to play them all, but here we are, and spoiler, I'm pretty satisfied with the conclusion of Clem's story.
When the dead started walking, I was small and alone.
Oh, how cool. Telltale ripped the comic style right off the page by Charlie Adlard. A thing that I've always loved about these games is how much respect they give to the comics, and the final season goes harder than the rest in this regard.
Until a man named Lee became my protector.
Telltale with the creation of this season took to heart the reception of the last 2 seasons and refocused all efforts to try and recapture that magic that was the first season. Step 1 being bringing back season 1 writer Gary Whitta. And as we see Lee, we get a bit of their theme, alive inside.
Lee protected other people too, but he couldn't save everyone.
This was a perfect, beautifully stylized way to get our decisions from the previous games.
The living were just as dangerous as the dead.
A little foreshadowing that goes way over our heads on the first playthrough. Walter White is celebrating at the choices presented here and would be proud of mine. And it's so funny that only like 1 choice in the second game matters and we totally just act like the third one never happened. Well, there is a choice, but it's more about helping us, the player, get a feel for Clementine and how we want her to be. Javi? Never heard of him. Gabe? Gabe. And with this being the bookend to Clem's story, she's come such a long way, and has finally filled Lee's shoes, down to the same defensive pose with an axe just as him. The walkers in this little flashback aren't very human as we're used to, and I like to see this as AJ's perspective, viewing them more as monsters than walkers. Once again, gotta defend Telltale like in all the other videos. It's the story that changes, not the plot. Who will AJ be is at the heart of this story, not whether we attack Lily's compound or not. Oh my god! Wow, how did I not see that coming? From the start, we're being shown how Clem is gonna get around by the end of this. The updated engine from the Batman game is looking really nice. Was sorely needed from the super stiff, almost lifeless by comparison previous seasons. Just the little bit of hair flowing and fabric wobbling adds so much to the presentation. We open on the D of Clem's hat. Remember that hat for later. Clem adjusts the mirror not to keep an eye on the road, but AJ. He's the #1 priority. And this entire intro is a callback to the first season with Lee in the cop car, changed to the mirror just as the officer did. The ride that ends at a crash. Oh, it's not a toy he's playing with. And he's all grown up. The time skip was a great idea to bring back the grizzled dad teaches child to live story that we've seen so much of in recent years. But instead of a dad, we get a teen girl that I'm sure MTV would have loved to interview for one of their shows.
What you doing there, goofball?
This season is chock full of cute little bookends that they're setting up right now.
I don't like goofball.
A big theme for AJ is protecting his innocence and trying our best to not force him to grow up so fast. AJ off the rip is trying to speedrun his own development. Ah yes, the best two options. A magazine about food, or a toy of food. Apocalypse has a sick sense of humor. Or TellTale does. The final season has this really cool art direction with objects in the distance TellTale calls graphic black, that brings the art style even closer, if not right in line with the style of the comics use. This season was also supposed to usher in quite a few new gameplay mechanics to evolve their genre beyond the tedious look at things and talk. The third-person camera immediately jumped out at me and made the game instantly more immersive. Sadly, they weren't able to do all they could have due to budget constraints. The main new mechanic is walker combat, actually having player agency with it instead of just being a QTE. It's rudimentary as hell, but it does wonders for immersion.
Still with me? Still here.
Skybound asking the final few employees at TellTale if they're down to finish this game. Feels like a callback to the couple Rick finds in the opening of the comic and show.
Please leave us alone. This is what we wanted.
Every time I see something in a story and don't really understand why it was placed there, the easiest thing to do is just ask why. And keep asking that question to each answer to draw a better understanding. It's what they wanted. It's something that we all get when it comes to this world. Going out on your own terms. And is something that AJ completely objects during Clem's final moments. Clem accepts her fate, but AJ's naivete due to his age and experience with the world is actually what saves her. It's a really cute lesson to us older cynical folk to not give in so easily and fight for what we love.
Too small to crawl through. Well, for me.
This is super important. Clem has finally grown up and can't be the small plucky one like she was at the Civil War Museum. It's very symbolic of her growth. And what am I on about? I'm just f***ing with you, aren't I? Or am I?
Well, they used to be people. And as people, they asked to be left alone.
Priming us for the conversation that James will bring up later.
Huh. They had a good thing going here.
Which really makes you wonder why they decided to opt out. They had food, defenses, a bed. The choice to carry on in a world like this extends far beyond your ability to sustain your physical body. We all think that we'd be survival badasses in this kind of world, but in all reality, I think the hopelessness would be the hardest thing to combat. Ooh, 2 bullets. One for the big chick, and one for the little boy.
Always aim for the head.
I'm gonna regret that one later. It's a funny display on how kids internalize a parent's teachings.
You said it, kiddo.
Negan would like you. The grenade is visible for the keen-eyed of us.
We need to get back to the car.
TellTale plays on our expectations of their scene structure. In previous games, it would hard cut to black and to them entering the car, but not here. Keep the camera with them and us, with the anxiety of the situation just ratcheting up. As much as I hate her, at least Jane taught us something useful. I'll give Clem this. When in high-stress situations, we often do dumb things. That was a pretty cool, smooth transition to the first person with Clem. I've always loved the imagery of flowers growing from walkers. Death begets life. I love this song for the final season. It's basically saying that no matter how hard life gets, no matter what's happening, living a life of consequence is far better than just waiting around to die. Until the end of the song, where the protagonist loses all hope and delivers themselves to vices to get them through this waking life till death takes them, basically becoming the Walking Dead. Through each and every experience the protagonist goes through in the song, she loses more and more hope until they're ready for it to just be over. And that's where we find Clem by the very end of the game. And again, thanks to AJ's life experience thus far, not shitting on him as much, thanks to Clem's parenting, she's saved. Man, if this isn't telling us everything we need to know about how good these kids are at surviving, then also tells us, the player, that whoever captured us is either incompetent or confident.
But you do the same.
Ooh, spooky unknown character shrouded in darkness. Mysterious hooded man watches from a distance.
Your turn.
And once he's shown good faith, the darkness recedes. It's simple directing stuff, but effective.
You can probably tell it used to be a school. Now it's whatever we want it to be.
Which makes it the perfect location to have Clem end her story. Clean slate, if you will. To start over and move on from the past.
Probably sounds strange. Kids run by a kid.
I think it's perfect. Especially since we're playing as Clementine again. There's always a weird disconnect in Season 2, playing as Clem, having weight in the big group decisions when there's like 6 different adults who should be way more competent than they were. Also super unexpected and not really heard of in the Walking Dead universe. It's like an optimistic version of Lord of the Flies.
You got bigger fish. The kid's inside. Think he's with Lewis.
Lewis?
Oh, right. Just listen for the music. You'll find him.
It's almost disarming how nice and inviting Martin is. A little too much so. But with everyone being kids and no adults, it makes us feel right at home.
About time you woke up!
Your little boy just bit me!
Ironic, no? I'm really digging all the writing on the walls. And more to the point, the drawings they put on the headmaster's portrait. Kids will be kids, even during the end of the world. And funny that the troubled youth has got along better than most adult groups. You know I love me some center framing.
Still, no more bites.
Might want to take your own advice on that come episode 4, Clem. Luis just screams love interest. Cool jacket, super sweet plays music, a little bit of a talker, but I think we'll remedy that real soon. The piano being our diegetic record scratch.
It's a chair leg. I call it Cheryl's.
Just keep it away from any pizza delivery boys. Dreadfully inefficient. But I'll take the spectacle. This is a good girl. Love that they didn't forget about Clem's trauma from season 2.
Hey, see you and Rosie are making friends.
Role-playing against type. We all expect the vicious pit bull to be a boy named Tank or something. At least I do. I got bit hard in the ass by one named Tank as a kid. But it's Rosie, and she's the cutest.
Don't be jealous, Vi. Be better.
Be better. That's a great lesson. I wonder if someone's going to make a whole 2-part epic about that.
Come on, y'all. Food's new.
Character consistency.
It means they don't hunt like us. They just eat stuff that's already dead.
Or even better, let other people do the work for them and reap the spoils. I know quite a few scavengers in my life, and let's just say, we aren't besties. Bringing it back to basics, sharpening bones was among some of the easiest materials to work way back in the day for making weapons. Looks like a leg bone too, about as tough as it gets.
Up monsters, yeah.
About my reaction every time AJ curses. Not all decisions are super impactful throughout, but this is the one that holds over for him the entire game.
Well, don't sweat it, buddy. You can make it up to me by teaching me your technique. You, a regular heavyweight.
I was really digging Marlon. Sad thing is, anybody this nice in the apocalypse has always got a secret. Makes his fate all the more shocking and heartbreaking. Oh god, I am getting non-flashbacks whenever we had to pick our table in season 2.
I don't know the game. The only card game I've played had less people.
Even less now. If you know, you know.
Everyone flips one over. Highest card wins.
And the winner gets to ask Clem a question.
It's crazy to see how well adjusted most of these kids are. It's refreshing not having a zombie story that is just constantly depressing as shit. And I imagine a school for the troubled youth, they would kind of relish the idea of having freedom for a change.
Looks like he's made a friend.
God, I'm getting old. Any of y'all miss the days when making a friend was this easy? Kids really do have it so nice. We all want to grow up till we're grown up.
Where are AJ's parents? You two don't really look related, so...
I mean, also, I think the fact that she's 16 and he's 5 might have been another obvious one to go for, but I'll allow it. And points to season 4 for actually caring and acknowledging the past seasons. Looking at you, New Frontier.
What's up with your haircut, Marlon?
I look cool.
Everyone in 2023, thanks Curtis Connor and Theo Vaughn for your repopularization of the hottest hair to exist.
All the way. It goes on for a while. We got a lot of guts.
With how these kids attack Delta at the end, I'd say he's unintentionally thematically correct.
Who do you think is gonna die first?
Lewis, definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. Definitely.
Lewis is swinging for the fences being the most likable of the bunch. Only problem is, we trauma bond with Violet!
I always liked this room. Sophie had, like, paintings and shit on the walls.
Makes it so cute that we collect pictures to hang up. Not that we're replacing her memory, but carrying it on.
She had the most amazing voice. Real bluesy.
You know, I wish I could hear it. Be careful what you ask for, am I right? You might notice that there's a fence and barn looking building with the sun out. This is a cute little picture directly foreshadowing the end of the game. Oh, he tried really hard. My art.
What are you doing?
This is where I'm gonna sleep.
What? No, it's not.
It's safe under here. No one can get me.
Back to back heart punching. It's one thing to view this world watching Rick be a badass biting people's throats out, and a whole other seeing a 5-year-old sleep on a hardwood floor and find it normal.
This bed is really soft.
Motherfucking kids. Nothing more stubborn than them. Except maybe some Dowie. Or me making a video on a Nintendo game. Walking up with these golden rays pouring onto us while going to talk to Marlon. And he says yes. So it's like this place is heaven.
I guess we're gonna find out. Let's find his office.
I know where it is. I'll show you.
Season 4 really cut down massively on the BS, wandering, and puzzles to give us what we really wanted, the story and choices, which I appreciate having my time respected.
It's not yours anymore.
It's mine.
No, it's not.
I imagine this game really resonates with people who have raised kids. Closest I have is about 10 nieces and nephews, so I've only seen it from the outside. I give so much respect to anyone and everyone who has had the patience to do such a thing, because, like, more often than not, it's a very selfless act. Thematically poignant, I say that because the school was made for kids whose parents were selfish and didn't have the patience to teach their kids proper life skills.
Sit, girl.
That's a good girl.
She's really well trained. She was the headmaster's dog.
She's very obedient, yeah? Kind of the same way a lot of kids in the system are treated. Not to be kids, but to do this and that. To do what you're told and not question it. Is that the wrong takeaway here? Or just that Marlon is now headmaster and inherited Rosie?
I'm worried that if I don't figure something out, if I don't fix our food situation, I can't lose anyone else.
I don't blame Marlon for just dumping on a stranger like this. There's no history. He's really got nothing to lose venting to her, especially considering what we find out later. Y'all ever meet somebody for the first time and they just unload the worst trauma on their lives on you? Same idea.
Go get him, AJ.
I love the way everyone treats AJ. They all grew up at this school and know exactly what they wish they would have gotten from the adults and give that to him.
Are you sure you trust my driving?
Oof, it's not even just about the opening scene. They just don't know it yet. Sorry about that one, Kenny. The most unceremonious death I've ever seen in a TellTale game, and I still don't forgive!
Or a busted carburetor, or flat tires, or the transmission.
The writing here really is a step above New Frontier. I liked Javi, don't get me wrong, but that was about it. We totally get the dynamic between these two, and love that Brody just ignores Violet every time she's pettier than Dr. Lingard when you refuse to kill him.
They're swimming against the current.
Guess they don't realize it makes them easier targets.
Kind of like the kids going up against Lily's crew instead of going with the nature of the world. Or even that Lily's boat fort at the end is on the water saying, "We're right here!"
The Grand Canyon.
What?
That's where I'd go.
Growth. Love to see it.
Is this a Bible page?
We can never really escape religious zealots in a zombie apocalypse, can we?
So what do? Eat rocks?
You can't eat rocks.
I think AJ and Jax would be great friends.
You're loud, dramatic, a little annoying. You're basically a walking distraction.
Feels like my sister talking to me.
I'll do it. But if I die, I'm making sure Walker Lewis eats both of you first.
I love this guy. Definition of using humor as a coping mechanism.
Playing hide and seek, are we? Now that's impolite.
I was gonna say, kids really aren't the best at picking up social situations, but I'll hand it to them. Probably the best play they got. Clem's been teaching him well.
Took y'all a while.
How poor are they that have not patience?
Quoting Iago from Othello, Iago was quite a source of comic relief in the play, just as Luis. He's a pianist, loves theater, and is funny. Maybe I romanced the wrong person after all. And at the end of Othello, Iago pretty much swears himself to silence and is presumed to be tortured in prison. Sound familiar?
Maybe being a walker is really nice.
I doubt it.
Me too. But it's not like you can go ask one.
I don't know, Lizzie might have a thing or two to say about that.
The walkers who killed them,
You want them there too?
they weren't always walkers.
Really setting up the contention with James. God, I can't get over that theme. It just brings me back to my childhood, back to the magic that was the first game. First impressions really do make a big impact. TellTale did so like no other game did, which I think is why I've always been so bored during the following seasons. Lee and Clem are just so damn compelling.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Aw, he likes us.
It's yours.
It's ours.
Comrade!
Good night.
See you tomorrow.
Toy stealing having ass bitch. Yo, check the framing. It almost looks like Clem puts the hat on AJ. TellTale trying to tell us something about the end? And AJ turns his back as it's placed on him, because he doesn't accept the passing of the torch in the end. At least, not the way Clem expected, nor us.
Good night, sleep tight, don't let a walker bite. And if they try,
I never let them bite.
come on, play it right. One time.
Bang.
Well, that's morbid.
What are you fighting about?
It's really none of your business. Go back to the dorm.
One, sounding like some uppity headmaster where the kids don't get a say in issues regarding them. Two, shining a light in her face and downplaying like some kind of crooked cop. And three, I probably would have gone back because I'm not one to start shit. And Marlon did do good getting me on his side.
What'd you say?
GGWP, Marlon.
Shut up!
Come on, Brody, we can fix this.
Is he concerned because, like, he killed one of his own? Or that the secret is death getting out? Both.
Clem, you're in danger. You and AJ both.
What danger?
Marlon will kill me if I tell.
Yeah. About that. Digging the camera work, reflecting how Brody's head is not all there with it turning on itself.
He'd let him take you. Take us? To make him go away.
You know what? He's playing it smart. Use them for everything they can give you, I guess.
Marlon, you son of a bitch! Don't do this!
I'm sorry.
Ooh, that was cool. The lighting, rain, the trapdoor, making him look like a real horror movie villain. Which is the perfect setup for the next scene of something we don't get enough of in The Walking Dead. That being horror. It's literally the genre zombies fall into, but it gets mired with politicking and action set pieces. Well, the Marlon special worked for the first time, so why not twice? And that's dark. It's like the white light that was the school has now been stained red, literally and metaphorically.
She murdered Brody.
What?
I think that counts as tampering with evidence, Clem. If we weren't sure about the kind of person Marlon is, we damn sure know with this shot. You've been doing great.
Till now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
I trusted you, Marlon. They trusted you. We all trusted you.
Sometimes you just gotta let a little man cook.
It's going to be okay. We can make this right.
We'll help you. We're all family here. The only one any of us has left.
Seeing Luis pipe up almost made me well up. I'm a firm believer in second chances, and we gotta remember that Marlon is still so young. Granted, I wouldn't put these decisions above an adult to commit, but desperation is one tough thing to deal with.
Fine.
What? Now that's how you end an episode off on a banger.
What? I aimed for the head.
I f***ing hate kids. I'm kidding. But yeah, you say one thing and chances are they're gonna interpret it in their own way. And I think honestly AJ did what we all wanted to do. I thought it would be super interesting seeing Marlon's redemption arc or something, but this totally beats it. If it wasn't just like 30 minutes and then everything's cool the next episode, the Minerva Marlon reunion, that could have been so cool. I don't know, it feels like an issue stemming from episodic releases needing a good cliffhanger at the expense of something more interesting, if not more difficult to write. With all that said, still loved the cliffhanger, and it's probably the second best moment in the season, and this still gets great conversation and tension between all of the cast. Totally beats out what do the other players choose and binary decisions throughout the game, hitting their goal of our choices changing the story and not plot. Which those split second decisions in the previous games felt more plot heavy than story heavy. Were we kicked out? What happened? Where's all our... Oh, we're good. Cute TellTale making us wonder in the opening.
I heard Lewis and what he called me. Am I a murderer?
So that's how we're gonna start episode 2. Okay. Ooh, a pretty gravy match cut, and love the cross-cutting.
You, Lewis. He's a little kid, so shut your mouth.
I've always felt that Melissa Hutchinson's Clem has always had a bit of a flat delivery on most dialogue. I love the character, but like, I think you know what I mean. But, god damn, do I love when she curses and gets angry.
I'm going to help you atone. Atone? It means make up for what you did wrong.
First biting someone and now shooting someone. AJ sure knows how to make a first impression.
You gonna let him kill me too?
I just had to show Mitch that we aren't to be f***ed with. AJ can shoot and Clem's a little badass compared to all of them.
I love you, Clem.
I'm so soft. That made me all warm and teary-eyed.
I brought you something.
For me?
Huh. A firefighter. A little token to help AJ put out the fire he started with everyone.
This is gonna be hard. Everyone's going to be upset. We need to show them we care.
Raise your kids to be like Clem. She's doing such a good job with AJ and goes to show just how good the people she grew up with were to her. Lee, Kenny, Javi to a degree. Though they were more just buds though. My poor little heart.
Marlon was...
God, that word is always a gut punch at funerals. Was. Huh, that's cute. Hanging the lamp where the light normally goes.
I know that I'm not supposed to get mad. Or sad.
And you have every reason to be upset.
Logic and emotions don't really work at the same time, do they, AJ?
Is this necessary?
Hell yes, it's necessary.
It's yours, AJ. You should keep it.
Gotta keep your parenting consistent. Didn't have AJ take Ten's toy because it wasn't his. Not gonna let Luis take his goddamn shit.
Still got that gun? Just try to be more careful with it, okay?
Luis can't help but be the good guy, can he? Frickin' Jane coming in once again to save us.
Your friend might get her head blown off.
Abel.
Oh, his name is Abel, eh? Smoke cigarettes using the Bible, having heterochromia. All add up to the quickest corruption of what should have been the softer of the children of Adam and Eve. Could be an indictment on what this world does to people, what would have happened if Abel survived instead of Cain. Spoilers, sorry. Or that he gave up his firstborn to God, and Marlon gave up a part of his flock to Abel's group. The first adult we see in the final season.
Don't!
Oh God, last time I saw a female protagonist in this exact position, I got my heart ripped out by the most jacked person ever to be afraid of heights and play golf all at the same time.
We're looking for a kid. Runs a community near here.
Cute that TellTale gives us a chance to figure out who this is. Give the audience 2 + 2 and a chance to figure it out before giving the answer. If at all.
Oh my God.
And even more pulse in the first season to bring everything home. Maybe she's not as big as a shithead as we originally thought. Gives us a weird decision to make. She's the last connection to Lee we have, but also like, we know they take children and she killed Lee's future girlfriend.
Same thing will happen to you if you repeat his mistakes.
Which is kind of the main theme of the game. Parenting and how we raise kids, not just in this type of world, but in general, and having to reflect on how our teachings have impacted them. We've got Delta that just uses them for all they believe them worth, meat for their army, and Erickson being halfway decent. There is beauty in the naivete of a kid's mind, and not losing sight of that, I think, is the main point of the final season. So many adults grow up, but I say f that. Never take life so seriously that you don't play and have fun.
We've got history.
Great. You know her, I know her. Point is, we've got a job to do.
Abel really grows on me throughout the season. More in a love-to-hate kind of way. Time for the Jane Okay, I'm done bringing up that baby bargaining chip weirdy chick. Carl called back.
No. Stop.
Those of us who've read the comic, woo! Those of us who haven't, what the actual f***?
Why are you alone if you were part of a group?
They attacked a community. Saw the carnage.
Really placing us exactly timeline-wise where we are at compared to the comics. Oh gosh, he's giving us an apple. We can't trust him!
Do you have a name?
Been a while.
Been a while. Weird name, but if you say it fast enough and not think about it too hard, it sounds kind of cool. Why did the dude pick the fattest Walker mask to hide that awesome anime hair? Also to say, wasn't expecting a pretty boy under that mask. I like the juxtaposition, you might say. Especially seeing someone so innocent if you know the history and way of life of the Whisperers. Swear this game went to the Kingdom Hearts school of putting shoes on characters. They're all so big. Makes them look more childish, I guess?
It's why they take people. To make them fight. Train them. Use them. You would join their war.
Quick and to the point reason why he helped us. Betrayal knows what that's like. Funny how quick they are to turn around and help the second he's injured. What the f did they expect to happen? Doom them to die, basically. But I love that they don't hesitate to help.
Come on, what do we do when we're scared?
Wish I would have just taught AJ all the wrong things and make him swear like a sailor, just to see the outcome. How bad does AJ actually get if you really suck up the parenting?
Her showing up right after you? I mean, she's horrible. She always has been. Her dad was a racist asshole, and she defended everything he did.
I'm on Team Larry deserved that salt lick.
And then you two come back after we thought you were dead. Now they're confused, and no one knows how to feel about AJ.
Taking her seat as headmaster, I see.
I just need some propane and something to create a spark, and we'll have ourselves a nice little homemade explosive.
Don't forget a couple nails. Joel might have a tip or two for you.
She stayed when all the others left. God, she looks...
like, she's flourishing. Look at all that life all over her. She was there for you guys, and now she's fertilizer for new life.
She taught me how to patch people up. Stitching, local anesthetics, painkillers.
Thank you for the explanation of why she's our resident Dr. Lingard. We can only suspend our disbelief for so long, Disney.
I don't think I can take care of her.
Double entendre on that. Can't kill her, but also all that medical knowledge she passed on isn't enough for her Padawan to take care of her. I imagine it's the worst feeling knowing that you have the knowledge to save a life medically and still are not able to.
It's better, you know, to get it over with.
Probably a good reason why Mitch was so stalwart on just kicking us out right away, which I don't blame him. I'm all about moving on as quickly as possible, even if it's to my own detriment.
You get all caught up in who people used to be and you can't deal with what's in front of you.
Could be said the same thing about Clem and Lily's relationship with each other. Same thing about Marlon, too. No one even batted an eye at him and Brody's odd behavior. Disco Broccoli has been a recurring character that has popped up at least once in every season and can even be found in Saints and Sinners. It's cute little things like this that remind me no matter how much we might have not enjoyed a game, the developers did. And there's also a science structure, another comic book by Robert Kirkman. The brains behind The Walking Dead, people. Oh, hell no. Crying babies in dark, rundown places is a big mad egg from me. It's also a black horse. We'd imagine it to be white for death that seems to be coming, but no, it's famine. Which I like to think it's not just about the scarcity of food, but the scarcity of many things. All the zombie apocalypse is a famine of food, hope, people. And we see it as it's heading towards AJ, a baby who for sure is going to be a drain on our resources. Seeing this shot floods my brain of all that Clem's been through, how far she's come. It's absolutely adorable and never where I imagined her character would land at the end of season 1. And if you think about it, children have always been at the heart of this series. Everyone who has kids or children and how people will do the worst things or the best things for them. Clem, Duck, and Christus baby juxtaposed by Molly, Crawford, and the Stranger. Season 2, we've got the Kenny-Clem dynamic, and of course AJ is born and the whole Carver thing. Season 3, Clem searching for AJ and Javi with Mariana and Gabe, plus Kate wanting more kids. We get to see all sorts of sides about how children will affect us in this world. Don't know how much putting Walker heads actually helps the fight, but maybe a little bit of psychological warfare to show these kids are to be f***ed with. He's probably missing because my man's isn't using a release for his compound bow. Seriously, that thing has got to be like 20 pounds or something to be pulling it back like that. It's the apocalypse though. Shows how down on supplies they are.
While my best friend was left with all the responsibility, all the tough calls, all the sleepless nights.
Neat editing with the arrow constantly missing, adding to his mounting frustration and regret.
I'm doing watch, Clem, for danger.
Like patrol?
No, Clem. Lookout's totally different than patrol.
How so?
You don't walk.
Oh, right.
Testing AJ and getting his brain working. It's the reason schools have us show our work. It's one thing to get the right answer and a whole other thing to know and explain to others how you got there.
I would, flip James. That's an interesting choice.
Funny. You pronounce horrifying differently than I do.
Didn't you say he wore skin?
Yo, don't kink shame. Everyone likes to play a bit of dress up here and there.
I think walkers won't always be around. They'll go away someday. 'Cause the world goes in cycles, right? Ice Age, Stone Age, some other ages. So it's like that. This age will end. And another one will start.
Sounds like a defense anti-global warming people use. Jen is low-key is smart as hell. I completely believe that too. Nothing lasts forever. It's a scary thing to think about sometimes. The world as we know it has only been this way for less than 100 years. Think about that. Planes were commercial in the 30s, space exploration in the 60s, the internet in the 80s, and the complete weird rise of having the world's knowledge in your pocket wherever you go in the late 2000s. This all happened in a possible one person's lifetime. How long can this be sustained? If Rome can fall, so can we. We progress so quickly, it can all leave just as fast as we see with The Walking Dead. Bell tower's giving PTSD. Ben!
Let's make some up. Come over here. You can sit down at that volunteer desk.
At Ben.
Yeah, that's a good one for you. Wish everyone would have seen all that sooner.
This rooftop scene is our obligatory calm before the storm, but it's done so well. Just stargazing and the ambient sound of the wind is calming. The final season has quite a bit of downtime where our characters just get to be with each other. It's definitely not for everyone, I imagine, and it wasn't for me, but I can still appreciate it.
Everyone here wishes they could fly away from all of this. Maybe we'll learn to fly together someday.
Giving me some real rocket energy here, Violet.
It's just, I've watched people leave before.
As she opens up to us, her physical body shifts and makes herself more open.
I really hate that catch.
Spoken like a true kid. Or me when I stub my toe.
Any final words of wisdom? You've faced them and won, after all. Well, sort of.
No matter what happens, look out.
Just to keep us humble, remind us we're still at matched kids, right?
We'll find them, Clementine, and then we'll take them. And you.
Lily!
Clem!
This is why Detroit Become Human is my absolute favorite choice-based game. There is no failing. I wholly expected for something to save her, or just wound her, but no. Not to say this is horrible. Lily did say if we move to shoot us, and she totally meant it, and I guess I deserve to die for that. Oh god, Jesus. The Walking Dead finally lets characters die again. I like her choice of knife.
That's called a K-bar. It's a Marine's best friend. You know, up close. I'd rather have this than any firearm.
Abel cannot catch a break against Clem. Goes to show what happens when you underestimate somebody. See what I mean?
Hey, AJ's waiting for you in the basement. We got Abel tied up tight. He's alive, but he's out cold.
You're telling me we left the new little psychopath alone with his character arc uncompleted?
He doesn't frighten me. But when he comes here, I call dibs.
I could so go for a continuation of this story playing as AJ. Dude's a little badass.
It's a bloodbath. One community against another. From Richmond to the coast.
Huh, so Javi's at war right now. Betty wishes he had a military man on her side. Oh, wait. Too soon?
Back at the Delta, we're at war. With some really sick who make me look like the Virgin Mary.
Abel brought out his religious talk, of course.
Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. What the f***? Is this code?
No, it's Leviticus. I was hoping it'd be some timely moralistic shit about turning the other cheek.
Sounds damning for you. Abel in a way has a split hoof with his leg being all banged up, and we're willing to cannibalize him to get what we need. Poor guy really cannot catch a break.
If you're honest with me, I'll put you out of your misery. You have my word.
Okay, we have a boat. We're docked a few miles west of here.
It's really amazing how my sympathy for someone can turn on a dime when you hear a voice crack and some desperation. I've gone from hating Abel to finally having a moment to reflect and feel like the bad guy. Abel is obviously a very religious man who pulled himself up from his bootstraps.
My whole life, everything I ever got, I got with my own two hands and my will.
To now see him like this feels far too cruel for someone who lost their way through circumstances completely outside of their control. The world going to shit. War, survival.
AJ, don't look away. I want you to see this.
I just had to have my Ned Stark moment.
Sophie, is she alive? She died protecting the Delta. A hero.
Man, does it sound like the Delta is doing a good job on giving their soldiers that war perspective. I'm damn sure they were not about it when they first got taken.
They called it collecting.
Herschel's so hard right now, let me tell you. The music is definitely doing the heavy lifting to make us empathize, but it really does add and elevate to help us understand James's worldview. And just for a second, I understood his side. Things kill things all the time to eat. Why should these creatures be treated any differently? We all know why, no need to waste my breath. But for once, I stopped to think more than I ever did with Herschel's case. James isn't that great of a character, all things considered, but his philosophy gives me pause for at least a second, and that's worth something. This scene is really beautiful, even among these horrifying monsters. I saw them as the poor, tortured souls they might be. How unfair it all is, and was a reminder of the tragedy that is the virus. We're so used to it now that we just forget who they were. This happens earlier with the nurse, with Rick and Wayne from Season 1, Episode 2 of the show. It's just easier that way, and can be looked at as an allegory that many of us will demonize and view others as monsters because it's easier. To not look for understanding and why they might have made the choices they have. It's what we in the game are doing to Lily, it's what we did to Abel until his last moments, and will continue to do because we're human. And the music, once again, is probably the most beautiful piece of score to come out of all 4 of the seasons. And the way their eyes look so sadly human as they look up at nothing but a pieced together wind chime. I've never had more sympathy for the walkers than right here. Seeing them just attracted to a noise, it really shows how impersonal their asphyxiation for us is. This scene is also more about remembering the people that the walkers were, not just what they are now. They are called monsters, more than ever in any Walking Dead media, to cement that idea before reaching this scene. And this scene really reminded me that this is the end of Clem's story, and you can see in her eyes that she's feeling the same things I've talked about. But to think she went from a scared little girl in a treehouse to now fighting tooth and nail for her family, to now walking among the walkers with no fear. One last thing, the cinematography here is just gorgeous and perfectly matches with the music. The lighting too. The crew didn't pull one punch with this scene. I think it's important to also remember this location and scene for what comes at the end of episode 4. That's what's crazy about writing scripts for games. I'll go 30 minutes or even an hour only writing maybe 2 or 3 lines, but then you get a scene like this, where over a page of wins just comes from it, and it's why we love masterpiece movies. Much easier to keep that high bar of quality over 2 hours and just have it be relentless with scene after scene. But games got it so much harder to do it for so much longer, and not always do they hit, but when they hit, there's nothing that a film or book can do to hold a candle to it to me. It's why games will always be my favorite medium for storytelling, and why this channel will keep going through thick and thin.
Any different? At all?
Yeah, I do. They're still just monsters. Dangerous things that want to kill us.
And that's the rub, right? They don't want to kill us. There's nothing emotional about their decision to kill us, and all the ammo James needs to keep his belief.
If you really had to choose human life or walker life, which is more important?
Walkers are peaceful.
Humans...
James is a damaged character. I don't think TellTale ever wanted us to come to his side or ever have Clem join his beliefs, hence why we never even get the option to be like, oh yeah, I get it, cool. And his reaction here clearly is coming from a place of trauma. All the people he's killed, the time with the Whisperers. It's why Clem and AJ just recently talked about dealing with trauma in the previous scene. So AJ is primed with that knowledge, and it's at the forefront of our minds when trying to get through to James.
Just another way of saying party. I know it sounds strange, throwing a party, but people need something to lift their spirits right about now.
Which we do constantly, is why we're shown the couple at the start of the game. People who couldn't keep their spirits up. But these kids, man, they're great at it.
I can't live with you not with me, Clem. I know we've talked about it so much, but don't make me.
Alvin Jr., you know you're not supposed to talk like this.
You know you're in trouble when Mama pulls out the Junior.
Like on the inside. If you got bit and then bit me, then maybe we'd still be together.
Kind of a weird hope for it in the afterlife, but I can see it. It's the most tangible way to live on after death in this world. And that might be enough for some people. Like the couple at the start.
Nothing that makes you would be in there.
This is why Robert Kirkman doesn't like episode TS-19. Jenner deliberately says this scientifically to Rick's group. There's no pondering about it anymore, and James is just wrong.
Minnie, the real Minnie, she's gone.
See what I mean about demonizing people to make your choices easier? It's exactly what Violet is trying to do.
It was in some garbage behind one of the dorms. I had to blow it up, and that was pretty gross. But look, it works.
Love this kid.
Green's calming, but purple might be nice.
Well, purple was my dad's favorite color.
Did y'all expect anything less from me?
I have an idea about how to stop those assholes coming back to the school after we've rescued the others.
Oh, he was the most heartbreaking of Mitch's death, and now is going to carry on his legacy with the Boom Booms. Okay, AJ with the moves. Surprise, dummies. I mean, he's not wrong. That might have been the last thing I'd expect him to write.
We weren't good people, Clementine. But it still doesn't mean that we should have been left here to die by the people that were supposed to take care of us.
Isn't that the damn truth? Even out of the apocalypse. I've got family going through something really similar with the system right now. Literally throwing them out because the faculty can't handle it. There's also not a catch-all metric about how kids end up in places like these. We've got Violet, who was just shipped away because her parents didn't want to deal with her trauma, and then Luis, who facilitated a divorce as revenge against his dad. Completely different situations they're going through, being treated and cared for under the same roof, and forgive my ignorance if that's the case, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that these two need very different types of help. Help that is going to be hard to find in one place. All this to say, it's so interesting that it's when these kids are forced to govern themselves that they finally find some growth in their peace with their pasts.
Do you guys remember when Minnie would sing us Don't Be Afraid?
The second time bringing up her singing. Wonder if this will come in a third. Oh wow, we just go from the party to... Oh my god. They brought him back, it's Lee!
Hey, Sweet Pea.
Like, not a day has passed for Dave Fennoy. My god, is the updated engine doing work for the beautiful man that started it all. And I love how he just looks at Clem and smiles for a while. It's like he's smiling at us, the players, while we cheer and cry to see him.
You always pick the train.
Because this is where it all started.
She lays out what happened, but I definitely think the subtext is saying more that it's because it was the first big bonding moment between these two, where Lee really stepped up to be a parental figure with her.
Oh, Sweet Pea, you know you always get like this before something big.
Oh, I love that she's been talking to Lee throughout all these years. And it seems Lee has really gotten to understand her more than ever. It's like he's not really gone anymore.
You've got people that need you.
Goodbye, Lee.
It seems now that Clem has finally found a home, that this might be the last time that she talks to Lee, since he was the last time she truly felt at home.
Come on, give him some space.
But I just want to... Not right now.
AJ with some leading. Clem's also got Marlon's bow, showing who the real sheriff in town is.
They cut out his tongue. He just, he kept talking.
This is poetically as hell. Luis is always a smart-mouthed, funny talker, and they took that away from him. Don't know why they had to give him the way shorter stick than Violet if she's the one captured. In her case, she boohoos even more than him, so, weird.
I'll make these bastards pay for this. I promise you, Louis.
Jesus, does it hurt to see how broken they made Louise. From always Mr. Positive to now afraid of a thud.
Minerva. Open the door.
Something interesting is that Minerva is the goddess of not violence, but specifically strategic war. Hence why she is the one who survives longer between her and Sophie. She's also a goddess of music. So there's that.
They had hot showers, clean clothes, beds. They were given guns and trained to use them. The people there were kind to these girls. All that was asked in return was that they help defend the group.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds like a humdinger of a deal. Maybe this Delta thing isn't too bad after all.
What happened then, Minerva? I killed her.
Well, I never said what she did to survive was ever good, though. After seeing that she was helping Sophie escape, did the one thing to save her own skin.
What have you done to her head, you psychotic?
Probably something similar to what the camera is doing now. First the ear and now her hand. Is this TellTale trying to show us that we're turning AJ into the same monsters we've trained him to kill? So much for Javi cutting our hair. Shows that Lee really was the only daddy for us. Love me a QT, you can't win.
Give me the gun.
Can't let her hurt anyone else.
I don't want to die! Do it, AJ!
I really don't know if I made the right choice. I probably didn't, but I couldn't get over what she did to Luis and everyone else. And let's not forget our future girlfriend Carly, and just straight up comeuppance for her being a shitter since the day we met her. Well, there goes her left cheek and eardrum.
You brought this on yourself.
Oh! Clem!
But it's not too late.
Let go!
For him, at least.
This almost feels out of character for the timid little warm bodies type motherfucker. But that quiet side of him was a direct result of rejecting the way he's watching us raise AJ. And so it only stands to reason the second he sees what happened to him, he would be up in arms about it.
You had him empty an entire clip into that woman's head!
It was only half a clip.
AJ was calculated about it, counting his shots. I'd say Clem taught him well. Plus, I can't take anyone seriously that doesn't call it a magazine.
Anyone that wants to hurt us should be dead. And I'm not sorry about it, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it.
Church. That's what Rick taught me, and I'm not going to feel bad about teaching him the wrong things as the linchpin of this game's narrative, honestly. Most of us already came to this game knowing how we feel about the subject, so this whole conflict with James feels so Points to Daddy Rick for ruining my mind and killing in the apocalypse.
The night will be over soon.
We finally get the terrifyingly awesome payoff of Minnie singing. And she looks so badass, being like an intelligent walker leading her pack to us. Ironic that Minnie is using the axe, kind of the symbol of protecting your child between Lee and Clem, now trying to use it to kill Ten and protect him from this world. Oh, she's got thick boots. I'm sure she's fine. There's no way they're gonna kill off Clem, right? Right? Well, I seriously didn't see this coming. I feel like I should have, but I didn't think they'd have the pulse to do it. That's before I knew about the takeout. This is about the reaction I'm sure most of us would have after 4 years into this kind of world. Internal shock and almost immediate acceptance.
Keep moving forward. Keep moving. Oh!
Echoing Miley's final words to her. And she's now taking control of the axe to protect AJ. Oh my god, we're definitely transitioning to playing as AJ. Yep, this definitely feels like the end. And just like the end with Lee, it's up to AJ to protect them both and learn some final lessons. And now we've got Clem in the same position as Lee was, coming full circle and completing her arc of passing on all she's learned from Lee to the next generation.
Please, try.
I think I gotta win every parallel. It's the end of Clem's story. She can't get up, just like Lee.
Got any more ammo? There isn't any more. Okay, then.
They couldn't have just made it easy like Lee, could they? Just had to pull every little thread they could to make this as terrible as possible.
I don't want to go. I just want to sit next to you and stay.
I'm pretty sure this is the same barn that these two were at earlier, and now he's talking about being just walkers together. James and the scene did make it seem peaceful. The two of them locked in here together forever. It's a bittersweet thought for sure, but not a solution.
No. What do we do if I get bit?
Love that she never says we, like an impossibility that AJ could ever be bit. To not scare him and give him as much hope as possible. This works best when Clem asks AJ to kill her, since the other way really makes it more obvious that he cut off her leg. I totally bought that Clem was gone, especially with the way they do the scene after the next. Clem shoots this lady exactly how AJ shot Lily, same spot for the same reasons, saving each other.
No, no!
She wasn't reaching for a gun. She had a bottle to possibly calm AJ. He was only in a locker for his protection. This entire scene is viewed as Clem saving AJ from the ranch, but in all reality, she's only saving him from the attack and killing innocence on the way, traumatizing him. His only other mother killing possibly his only other one. It makes us wonder if Clem did the right thing, and depending on our choices throughout the game, if she's the best for AJ. Seeing AJ like this is heartbreaking. It does a lot for us understanding their hardened relationship together. After going through something like this, there really isn't any room for playtime or drawing and anything like that, which, looking around the room here, was something he kind of got from the ranch. I think that was a big reason Clem was put at Erickson. They are both troubled youth to a T with what they went through at the ranch. They needed all that downtime playing games with the kids and having a party. The placement of this scene has been a point of contention this season, and after some thought, I don't think there was really any other place to place it. You could have spliced it in each episode with nightmares or something, but seeing the whole thing straight really gives a better picture of how much this traumatized AJ and also Clem. The one take of him seeing all the horrors, that he can only assume that Clem did it all, it's way more powerful being one scene. And we see it directly after Clem dies, and I feel like it highlights the guilt that AJ felt in the previous scene. She was able to save him, but he couldn't save her. And we get an exact idea where AJ's triggers came from. Being walked up behind, loud noises, feeling threatened. The saddest part of all these is that all of them came from Clementine. And it's all over her face if she did the right thing. There's no sound of fighting anymore. She didn't have to kill that woman.
Everyone thought you died because, you know, you're you.
Way to keep it gentle, AJ. I love how AJ's choices are visually different to illustrate just how different things are. And the perspective they're written in. It's not just 3 different phrases to respond in, but the way AJ feels about things and responding with his feelings and thoughts. And honestly, I like that approach way more. If you're already gonna kind of say what the option is, like, better just give me the feeling and thought attached to it than just a half-ass put together version of the sentence.
I found this way down the river.
So more doubt that she's really gone.
You should wear it.
Nah, my hair's too big on my head.
Oh, makes us think that he's still too upset, but nah, she's just waiting for us back at home.
Take us back, oh.
Take Us Back by Alila Diane, the name of this final episode. A song that speaks of a terrible storm, but of the hope that follows after, to rebuild together after a terrible thing that's happened, i.e. Clem's leg and the ranch. It also feels a little meta for TellTale, as I'm sure many of the team wish they could go back to the days when the studio first started up. They keep us on the hook for so long. It feels like AJ's looking back at us like, that's all, folks. And we'll do a fade out on the Erickson gate with the hope of their renewal.
What you doing there, goofball?
I mean, what? It was perfect to kill her off and come full circle with Lee for this series, but I'm honestly glad they didn't. We didn't need to rehash the same ending twice, and these two still have more growing they need to do together.
It's definitely seen better days. You know what? You keep it if you want it.
Finally passing the torch.
Did you ever get to swing when you were smaller?
Yep, sure did. A long time ago.
Do you remember Lee making one? I'm so glad this series finished off on a happy note. Like, straight up happy. Bittersweet is cool and all that, showing the kids learning from Clem and Erickson being named after Violet's suggestion, but I'm all for Clem getting to be happy for once with all she's been through.
I'm gonna need these to go anywhere.
Pretty much telling us that Clem is done running, done bouncing from group to group, and it's either make this work or bust.
But you wanna know something I didn't tell you? I never had a plan. I never knew where we were going. I never knew anything.
Just like Lee, and more to the point, kind of like most first-time parents, just flying by the seat of their pants.
Did I do a good job?
Such a heartbreaking performance from Melissa. A question every parent wonders and doesn't always get to ask. And with her guilt of taking him away from someone who might have had more experience and done better, this is the best thing Clem could have heard.
Of course you did. What are you crazy?
Maybe a little.
A lot more than a little.
When we were in the barn, you didn't listen to me. And if you had, I'd be dead.
There's that naive, childlike optimism I was talking about at the start of the video, coming in to save Clem's life. Some of the coolest end credits I've ever seen, and a big nod to Team Still Not Bitten. The final few of TellTale that stayed to finish this game, just for us, the fans, is front and center, as it should be. And just to show how small the team that finished the work on this game really was. It's amazing that this game ever came out at all. No better final shot to end off this series than Clem's iconic hat. So that's it. That's the whole series. Only took me 10 years to finally play it, and at the end of the day, I think I'm satisfied with Clem's story. And I do mean just that. Clem was at the heart of the series, and that got forgotten in New Frontier and really made the flow of the story really strange. So much so that I thought as a teen that they totally ditched her on that third season and fell off caring about the games. After playing the last 2 seasons, if I'm honest, I really never cared about anything going on story-wise unless it was directly about Clem, which is a shame, but I can only be objective so long until my brain just refuses to not see the win. And the biggest issue I have with these last 2 seasons is it just being boring. If I'm ever playing and checking the time, I know there's something wrong, and a lot of that happened during the Erickson bits of downtime. I praised them as much as I could, but gosh darn, I had to get it off my chest. Otherwise, I think all the callbacks this season to the first was great to give some much needed connective tissue to really tie this story up with a nice bow. To not have us look back negatively on the series and be able to remember Lee and Clementine for the awesome characters they were, and the still not bitten team in Skybound Games, and what they did for us. And that's not often publishers care to save a dying studio. TellTale Studios seems to be rebuilding itself, and we'll have to wait and see if there is ever a return to this universe in the future. What do you guys think about the final season? Let me know down below, and as always, drive the speed limit, drink some water, love one another. Pizza!